Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Everybody, Dave Scott here in Spaced Out Radio Land. Thank you so much for joining us as we kick off another week of the big show, and my voice is feeling better, and I'm starting to feel much better. Figured out the problem. It's this thing right here. It's my nose that isn't working. Yeah, I know. Weird, but that's the way it is. All right, we want to say hello. Jonathan Davies will be here in just a few minutes to talk about disclosure versus confirmation, and this guy is at the forefront of it all. We'll get his opinion coming up very, very soon. But first, let's say hello to everyone in the chat room tonight and be with the gold medal position tonight. Race fan taking home the silver. Smithy with the bronze medal, but also kicking off the super chat tonight. Thank you, Smithy, for your love and support of SOR. Roy Boy, Cosmic Floor, D. Cohen, how you doing? The Fifth World, welcome to SOR chat. And Palmer, John Hinoyosa, thank you for coming on in. Samantha Hazelwood Gray and the Black Dragon are here. Black Dragon is one of the great veterans who listens to this show. Thank you for your service, Black Dragon. We very much appreciate it. And Palmer, nice to see you. Thanks for coming on in. As we continue on with Roll Call, Steam Train Mark, thank you for letting me know I am alive in the future. That is tomorrow. Lisa Compton, nice to see you. Elaine in the UK, good morning to you. Hi, Marlena. How are you? Thanks for coming on in as we continue on with Roll Call. Desert Rat is here. Desert Rat will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Invisible Tracker, Grand Paul Holland, nice to have you both here. Thank you. Ian McFadden, it's been a while. Good to have you back. All right, continuing on with Roll Call. There's Pixie Lara. Thank you for coming on in. Alien Critter, good to see you. Nicole Perron, it's been a while, but we're glad you're back. Margie O, nice to see you. And Jim Morris and Jenny, thank you for coming on in. As we continue on with Roll Call, there's Uncle Dale and his Power Stash, people. If you see Uncle Dale in Austin, Texas, rub his Power Stash for good luck right through Labor Day weekend. Here we go. Continuing with Roll Call. Let's see. Ozzy, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming on in. Grandmaster, The Gong Show. Zed Hut is here. Zed Hut will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. There's Trisha. Thank you for joining us. And B. Perry, welcome to SOR chat from southern parts of British Columbia. Good to have you here. Digger Dog, how's it going? Penman, Kawhi, Marty Burback, good to see you all. Courtney Marchesani, thank you for coming on in. I should know your last name by now, Courtney. We got to get you on this show as well. Hello, Gentry. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Beverly Holmes, welcome to SOR Chat. Paul Rizzo, welcome to SOR Chat from Sydney, Australia in the future as well. Rui from Portugal. Holly, how you doing? Overbuild Automotive, thanks for coming on in. Wes H., good to see you. And who else is shining on here? Brown Dwarf, nice to have you back, buddy. And who else is joining us? Michael Fontaine. The little Timmy Senor is hiding there as Anonymous Rex. Good to have you here as well, my friend. We just started the radio side of things, so let's see who else is joining us here. And Raul, nice to have you here. And Dennis Benke, nice to see you. Let's see who else. Oh, it says we're caught up. Apparently we are. Well, that's not a bad thing. Nightmare, how you doing, man? Good to see you. And Let us see what else is on. Raul, we're not doing political comments here. We're gonna have to erase that one right off the bat, dude. You know how it goes around here. Yeah, you do. So we're just going to take that out, and we could be relaxed in here, Raul. All right, and we go from there. We got about 28 seconds to hang on out, Mr. Lurks a lot. Thanks for coming on in. It's warm in the studio tonight, very warm, but we're gonna get her going here. And the super chat is open. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Also, just want to touch base and remind you that you can get your SOR swag at our website, spacedoutradio.com. All right, people, here we go. And let's get our horns up and rock out. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Coming up for you tonight, all the way from the United Kingdom, Jonathan Davies has got up early to talk some UFOs, disclosure versus confirmation. He's the man who's at the forefront of all of this in research. Then in hour number 3, we're going to go to the swamp. Swamp Dweller will have a great story for us. Tim Senor will be by with the UFO report. Shirky Poo has the news. Now, for many of you following the UFO subject, you may not know who Jonathan Davies is. Well, his story is one that will wake you up to the reality of ET contact. Since childhood, Jonathan has wanted to know what's going on with the extraterrestrial world. But in the last few years, he has really become an encyclopedia of information where people from scientists to government spooks have approached him for intel on the UFO phenomena. And Jonathan has also been right at the forefront on a couple of things. Number one, it's UFOs. It's not UAP. And that's the big reason why I love the guy. But number two is this. Are we headed for disclosure or are we headed for confirmation? These are two major differences we're going to get into tonight. But first, I want to say hello to one of our longtime listeners, Michael Fontaine. Happy birthday to you as you are in our YouTube chat room tonight. We very much appreciate it. Happy birthday, and we hope you have a good one tonight. We can put on a good show for you. Jonathan Davies, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. Now, we will forewarn people that you are having some technical difficulties with your brand new computer tonight. So if Jonathan freezes up during the show, just chill, relax. He's going to quickly get himself back on, and you might have to listen to me spew some words in between so far. So, Jonathan, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
I'm still asleep, Dave. Morning.
I don't blame you. I know it's about way too early, but the sun is up. The sun is shining. You got a beautiful smile on your face, and we're going to get into this. John, you are a lifelong experiencer. You are someone who has experienced absolutely everything about this field. And we're going to do a little bit of a revamp here because a lot of new listeners may not know or understand your story. But going from childhood, when you had your first experience, to where you are now at the forefront and right in the middle, maybe silently, of what is going on in the behind the scenes of ufology, how do you feel about where you sit on this subject, and how has your mind changed over the years?
Oh, it's changed. It's changed completely. I mean, I didn't know what it was when I was a kid. I was just experiencing things, and I didn't really know what it was, and it was just normal existence. I'd see things, and I quickly learned as soon as I joined school, basically, that nobody else was seeing these same things as me. So I knew I was different, and it caused me a lot of issues in my early years, and it wasn't very pleasant, to be honest with you, Dave. It turned me into a complete loner. I had to stay away from people because they knew I was different as well. Um, but it didn't really hurt me. It didn't hurt me mentally, sort of thing. As in, I'm pretty strong, and I like my own company, so that's not an issue. I'd go off in the countryside on my own for long walks, and I enjoyed my own company. It wasn't a problem. Other kids would be playing football. I couldn't do any of that with them because I wouldn't get bullied because I wouldn't put up with bullies. But it used to cause me issues. But yeah, I mean, my mindset on this has completely changed. Though I used to think it was ET when I did start thinking about things, and I don't actually think it's ET anymore. So I've come quite a long way with this.
If you don't think it's ET, what do you think it is?
I think it's either we've got residents that have been here longer than us, and this probably isn't our planet, and maybe they even had some hand in creating us for their own uses, whatever those were. Or I think it might be us from the future coming back, and if they make major changes for us that will benefit them in the future, maybe that's what's going on. I've no real evidence of any of that. It's just I keep hearing things from the top people I chat with, and those are the general hints that I get.
I want to know is your name on Twitter at I want to know, but it's that I'm going to be saying that a lot tonight because I really want to pick your brain on this subject. You have been someone, and much like the majority of people listening to this show, you're a relative outsider. You don't have military experience. You've never been in any sort of government agency. You are just someone, for some reason, that people want to talk to. So I'm just curious, when did this start for you, John, where all of these big name people that we've heard on television and other podcasts, their names have popped up, not only in newspapers and everything, but they've all seemed to reach out to you and talk to you about things. So, I'm curious, what is your thoughts on that? Why did this happen to you?
I wish I knew why it happened to me. I have no idea. I've just always been able to see things. I had a major experience when I was about 15. And from that moment on, I had basically missing time, and I saw a massive craft, and, I had my mind blanked for 2 days. And then after that, things changed in my life. I started getting some some people call them abilities. I don't know what to call it, to be honest with you. But I started getting. I found that I was able to know what was coming. It gave me sensory abilities. I had much better perceptions, and it's very, very strange. I don't know how to explain. I don't want it to sound like there's some sort of superpowers or anything like that. There's nothing like that, but it's I do seem to know what somebody's going to say. I do seem to be able to read people extremely well, and it's almost an unfair advantage, Dave. Yeah, yeah, strange. Sorry, I'm not awake enough yet for that sort of question.
Hey, you're going to wake up as we continue on here on Spaced Out Radio. Jonathan Davies is our guest. Jonathan, Hal Puthoff, Ross Coulthart, many big names within this field. Jim Semivan has reached out to you at times. I mean, you have talked to literally the gamut of people in this field, the who's who of this field. And, when I look at it, I mean, these are people who really watch who they speak to. And yet, for some reason, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but for some reason they've entrusted you with a lot of conversation. I mean, putting yourself in this shoes comparatively to where you were, say, 5.5, 10 years ago. I mean, what do you think's changed in you? Why have people reached out to you regarding what you know?
I mean, I started talking to Hal Puthoff at the SCU conference. What was that, a year and a half ago, something like that. And we've been chatting every single day. I mean, Hal then introduced me to quite a few other people. He basically saw my case of my landing case, and I showed him the pictures, and he was impressed with the pictures, and we went through that quite a lot. And I tend to think that that was because he recognized what he was seeing, that he'd probably seen something similar, and knew that from that I was genuine. You know, I was a genuine experiencer. And when we basically chat every single day now, and that hasn't stopped. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't send Hal a question, and Hal, more often than not, will almost instantly answer. I'm very, very lucky on that score. Same people like Jay Stratton. I chat with Jay now quite a bit. And again, everything's off the record. You know, I can't really come out in the community and tell people what I've been told and stuff, because it's unfair on them. And, you know, I've got to keep confidences, but I'm given a little bit of leeway that I can guide people in the right directions. If I spot something that's being said and it's not what I've been told, then I will try and put it straight without actually coming and saying that kid didn't come from me, that come from somebody else. You know, I'll try and guide the community in the right direction. And obviously I do that we've got a chat that we're in, Dave, with a group of these sort of people as well. And, you know, and I do the same thing there. I mean, I'm able to say, you know, this Hal said I could say this, I can say that in that chat, or some Jay said could say this, I can do that. Again, I think it is strange why these people talk to me. I do find it strange. I'm a nobody in the community, as in, you know, my job role. I'm not military, like you said. I'm not governmental. I'm not in the intelligence community. A lot of people think that I am. You know, I've had a few people that won't speak to me because they think I know too much and I shouldn't know some of the things that I know. But I've got a pretty good memory, so I mean, I put that down to that. You know.
Well, I mean, the idea behind some of the stories that you have heard and the position that you have changed, that at one time you believed it was all extraterrestrial, and now you're not so sure whether it's us from a previous time, us from the future, or wherever. I mean, for you, as you have, you know, matured in this field and matured with the information that you have, do you have something that you can say, Jonathan, that has really turned the tide on your belief?
There's been lots of gentle hints. I mean, I talked to Eric Davis at the SCU as well, and he was basically talking about time travel. So that put that into my head. I started thinking, yeah, this does make the most sense. You know, everything that I was reading and all the things I was learning, time travel seemed to be making the most sense for me. We had Michael Masters came out at the same point with his book saying that we were probably going to evolve into the Greys, you know, in the future. And so again, that made sense with we're seeing Greys now. Well, if we're seeing them now, that's because they're coming back from the future. Yeah, sorry, Dave, I've gone off my train of thought. What was the rest of it?
Just in regards to how you feel that you have changed, any piece of information that you could give us on how your own personal opinion has now been formed compared to where it was, say, 5-10 years ago.
Well, basically about 5-10 years ago is when I started thinking, I don't think this is ET. You know, I'd never really thought it was ET. When I was a child, and I would see things, and I would be, I think I was on board a craft a few times. You know, I'd be in a room, led on a bed. I never actually saw their bodies. I could see their eyes, so I never saw an alien as such. So it was never totally in my mind that these are aliens that I'm dealing with, and it was literally just big eyes that I would see. So I was never totally sold on it was aliens. So it was quite an easy transition for me to get to the point. Well, hang on, I don't think this is aliens. Yeah, and I saw a shift in the community as well. So the narrative was changed in the community about 4 or 5 years ago by somebody, I'm not sure who, but people started talking about things other than aliens on UFO Twitter and on Facebook. And I have come around to that, and I've probably been part of the push towards getting away from us talking about ET more than it being something from the future or something that is already a resident of the planet, maybe living under the oceans. I mean, I've got a feeling we're probably going to be finding that out as we go forward when we go into the hearings and stuff, Dave, that, they have been tracking these things under the oceans, and there is probably, the locations on the planet that we may find that these things are holed up.
Well, for you, as you have learned more information regarding everything that's going on, I mean, we're going to get into, when we get to the bottom of the hour, a real heavy discussion on disclosure versus confirmation, because I do strongly believe that you and I are almost on the same page here regarding the idea that there's a big game being played here, and the public is no one the wiser regarding this entire phenomena, what it stands for, and what's it all about. For you going forward, as you continue to gain information and talk to people, what is the message on the street regarding disclosure or confirmation?
I mean, disclosure is for the public. The disclosure is for the more open-minded, the skeptics and the don't cares, and the maybe the religious. Most people live in a boring day-to-day existence, and they have no idea of what disclosure is. You know what I mean? Their entire perception of reality is different to ours, Dave. So there's so much more to our existence, and they're totally oblivious to it. They don't seem to. They're just having their normal day. My wife goes shopping and she comes home, she goes to bed, she goes to work, and that's normal people's existence. They're not interested in this topic. They see it every now and then in the press, and they might have spent 5 minutes contemplating their existence, but it's not the be all and end all for them. So that's disclosure is for them, but then confirmation is for the likes of me and you, Dave, who have basically lived this. Some of us all of our lives. We don't need disclosure because we've already had it on a personal level, basically. So it's confirmation of everything that we're after. Some have had major craft encounters, others have had entity interactions, some have had missing time, possible abductions. We don't need the government to disclose for us. We're already way past that stage. It's confirmation. Yeah, and what the hell we're interacting with is what we're interested in. I mean, we're not even bothered or interested in the tech, as that's tomorrow's trash. I mean, the people who are after disclosure, or they'll be after all details on the tech, the free energy, the anti-gravity, and maybe to make their country stronger. I mean, that to me, none of that is of interest. I mean, I'm interested in what the hell are we? Who are they? What are they? Why are they interacting? What is the purpose? What are they doing to us? Those are the things that interest me, and that is confirmation.
And I understand that, and I look at it a little bit differently, because I tend to believe that disclosure is sharing everything, going back to the days of Roswell, maybe even before. Whereas confirmation is more like what we are seeing today, which is, we're going to tell you what is going on, but we're not going to give you the information to how it's going on and what we know is going on. And to me, I think that's a real disservice to it. But like I said, we're going to get more into that in the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio with Jonathan Davies tonight. John, as you have kind of looked into this numerous times, and you and I have chatted on privately online about it. We've talked on the phone about it. I mean, is there a sense of disappointment that people should or should not have at this point with what they have seen over the last, let's say, year and a half, especially?
I mean, we've had some major shifts in what's been going on. I mean, for a start, I mean, this has all been going on forever, Dave. You know that. I mean, it was well before TTSA came on the scene that this was all being planned, and it has all been planned. There's been we've always heard about MJ12 and the committee that basically controlling the narrative, controlling everything that got out. The CIA stopping things being put in the media and implanting things into the media and implanting themselves into the media, and this. Basically, I'm pretty certain now that there was another committee set up a counter committee, if you like, that was set up maybe about 6 years ago. And that's just my speculation, but that sort of time scale, I'm thinking. And this was a group that were trying to make things happen and trying to get things out, but for different reasons to what we're after. Yeah, I mean, they were. Some of the scientists like Hal and some of the generals we hear about, McCasland, and in the government, Podesta, this was a group that all came together basically to make changes, because they were being shut out, like we're shut out in the public. They were being shut out in government and in the military. They knew things were going on, and they weren't moving forward with the technology. Things were being frozen up because of the likes of these what they call the Collins elite within the government, which are basically religious fanatics. We're hearing that don't want us looking into this. They don't want us looking into werewolves at Skinwalker and things like this. So I mean, there was a group that came together, and we've been watching the massive plan take place. It started off with TTSA. Yeah, that was the public face of it. Anyway, there was all going on behind the scenes as well. We had in government, there were up to 4 Congress people alongside Harry Reid. I know of 3 others that were working with him to push these things through and to get funding for programs that nobody, the Collins elite didn't want. Things like the ATP program that Colonel Alexander was started running. There was absolutely a massive program. Every part of the government was involved in that. All the agencies were involved in that. And we never get to hear about any of that. I'm hoping that, Colonel Alexander doesn't speak that often, or doesn't actually say that often when he does speak about what went on during that time. So maybe he's one of the people we bring before Congress, and get him to answer some questions. But I'm more worried about. We've had one public hearing, Dave, and I'm more worried now that again, this is not me. This is the big hints that I get from the people I speak to, that public hearings may be over already, and that it may be all closed door sessions now. So
that's not good. No,
it's terrible. I mean, I was talking to Robert Salas the other day, and I said this, and he is disgusted by that. I mean, he wants to get in front of the public, and he wants to be able to tell the public exactly what happened. So,
well, let's go to it and talk a little bit more about that and monsters and aliens and disclosure when we get back. Jonathan Davies up early in the United Kingdom to talk some UFOs, disclosure or confirmation. That is the huge button topic for tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. This is going to be a real good one, an educational one, all for you. All right, John, remember our audience can hear us, okay?
Yeah, no worries, mate. Gotta wake up, Dave. I'm still fast asleep.
I know.
I've been sleeping a little bit better. I went through a couple of weeks of absolute hell. And I was getting about 3 hours a night. I know I only get about 5 max, but not been sleeping great lately.
I had a great, I went outside for a couple minutes last night, probably about 10:30, 10:45. I had 7 satellites fly over me within 2 minutes. And this one was really cool. There was one bright one, not bright enough to be the International Space Station, but it was flying on by, and it had a trailer right behind him. And then all of a sudden, the trailer got to where Cassiopeia would be and disappeared. And the other one just kept going. I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. And by the way, everybody should point their middle finger at Timber Hunter, a.k.a. Little Marky Spender. This is a guy who drove to Tim Hortons, grabbed an ice cap for himself, and then drove home, which is right by my house, and didn't even bring me one. Thanks, Little Marky Spender, for your best friendship. Very much appreciate you. And I'm just going to give you a few claps for being a complete jerk tonight. Take a bow. Take a bow, Mark. Yeah, that's my friend right there. That's my friend, Little Marky Spender. Sorry, I had to get that anger out there, John.
No worries, mate. Yeah, I had a good sight in the. I've been having a dry spell for the last few months. I hadn't really seen much at all, and then I had a really good sighting day before yesterday, and I've put it up on YouTube and I put it on Twitter. If anyone wants to go on Twitter and take a look, it's at I Want to Know UK. You can, it's one of the things that I haven't posted much since I posted it. So look at where I've said get outside if you're in Wales, because there's a lot of activity in the sky. And I posted 3 videos. There was a load of flashing. There must have been about 20 objects just to the east of my house, and it was just the whole sky was flashing. It was really strange. And then I started noticing, I thought they were satellites, Dave, to start with, and they looked like satellites, and I filmed them, but you've never seen so many satellites. I mean, I was getting, they weren't Elon Musk's, they weren't in a train or anything like that, all in a line. These were all coming from different directions, and I was getting 5 or 6 at a time that were coming from all directions. It was nuts. It went on for about 16 minutes, and it went on for longer than that. It's just I got lazy, and you know me, I don't like to get outside that often with filming them, because we don't get any answers from them, Dave, do we? So I don't tend to bother that often, But this was a pretty good one. I was lucky I took my camera.
Oh, well, you know what? Last night I just stood and watched. It was kind of cool. Like, they were all, like I said, 7 satellites within 2 minutes. They were all going in different directions, and it was just pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome.
Hey, Courtney. Nice
thank
to see
you, Courtney and Cat Chaser and Smithy, for kicking off the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support of Spaced Out Radio that you guys have for us. So thank you so much. It really does help. It goes to a good cause. And really appreciate that. Thank you. I want to clap for you too.
Dave, you should get Courtney on and do an interview with her, because she's a major experiencer, and her family, it goes back a long way. I mean, Courtney as well. She's in our group chat, so she's a top person.
We are friends. I'm going to hit her up for her email right now, and then I'll get my team to email her. Courtney, I sent you a message on your Facebook Messenger. Just, you don't have to get back to me right now. Just sometime, maybe tomorrow or something. Hi, Noble Patrick. Justin, how are you? Good to see you here. Yep, and there comes my private messages from Little Marky Spender, who says, your waistband can't handle any more ice caps. Thank you, my friend. You're a good friend. Yep. He's a good friend. Called me fat right there. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Do you ever have that problem, John? Your best friend just says, hey, man, do you really need to eat that?
Yeah, I've been on a diet for I'm down 1.5 stone so far. So my daughter's doing it as well. It's great. She was her birthday the other day, and she's been losing loads of weight. Now she can fit into all these new outfits we got her, and I'm quite enjoying the diet actually. We've had a couple of days off now with the birthday cake and stuff, Dave. But
Hold on, buddy. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you tuning us on in. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight from the United Kingdom. We have Jonathan Davies here. Disclosure versus confirmation. This is what we are getting into because, John, as you stated earlier, like just moments ago before the break, you're hearing from your insiders that we may not get any more public hearings on UFOs.
yeah, I mean I asked the question basically. I chat with them on certain platforms that and they have been it's difficult talking about them, Dave. You know what I mean? Without saying exactly what they said, because they have been pushing me towards we may not get any more public hearings. You know, don't hold your breath type thing, comments. And my feeling is they might be right. And we were going to get into Congress talking about special access programs now. We've got insiders who are going to be given immunity to come forward. They might be given immunity to come forward, but they still may not want to be public. You know, these are people that have not been in the public eye up until now, and they may not want to be in the public eye. So, you know, they may say, okay, I'm coming forward and I'll take your immunity, but because we're talking about special access programs and these are top secret programs, we've got to go closed session. So I've got a feeling, I mean, it's going to upset the community big time, because the community is going to be saying, cover up, you know, why aren't they doing these in public? I mean, I'm hoping that I'm getting it wrong, and that, you know, that Congress will take a different approach and say, no, this does need to be in the public eye. So hopefully that the beginnings of these interviews, when they do get them before the committees, are start off at least in public. I hope so, because I'm going to be gutted. I know a lot of people in the community are going to be gutted.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this then. Why does the government of the United States, and we're going to focus on that country for a second, why do they have such an affinity to try and cover everything up? What is the harm in disclosure?
Well, they've been in basically the Cold War never really ended, you know, because it transferred from Russia to China, and they're in a state of war permanently. I mean, under the oceans, I've got a feeling that they are still at war. You know, with the subs, we see the subs hitting each other, Dave, and you know, things are still, you know, there's conflict going on. I mean, wherever the Russians are in Africa, the Americans are there back in the other side, and they're fighting. So there's been a proxy war been going on forever. You know, it's never ended. So the secrecy comes from, you know, they've got to cover things up, because they don't want the other side finding things out that'll give them an overall advantage. Who knows? I mean, again, I said about the religious side, they don't want things to come out, because they don't want, you know, the power on this planet is partly religious. You know, the Vatican side of things, they may not be as powerful as some people think they are, but they do obviously have control over people's minds, you know, in their day-to-day existence. You know, the 10 Commandments literally are how a lot of us live our lives. We may not realize it, but thou shalt not do this and thou shalt not do that is basically how we live our lives. It's a strange one, Dave. I mean, I wish I knew the reasons why they still want to cover it up. They can't release the tech on the free energy and things like that. I think this because we might end up killing ourselves with it. If it gets into the wrong hands, then okay.
All right, Jonathan is frozen up on us. Like we said, he is having some computer issues tonight. But what do you think if you're in one of our chat rooms right now? Do you think that it is all about the technology? It is all about the military-industrial complex regarding ufology? Jonathan seems to be back now. John, we seem to have you. You didn't cut out for too long there. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can. Sorry. Sorry, mate. It's my internet keeps going off.
Well, that's all right. You're sounding great, and we're going to continue on here. You were saying right before you kind of got stalled out there, just in regards to the fact that the technology, the proxy war hasn't ended, and they don't want it to end because they want to hide the technology.
Yeah, and it's not just that. I think they're actually making money from this. I think there's groups that have taken control in the private sector, and they're maybe they're re-engineering some of the things they've been given, and they're making serious money out of this. So they've got an advantage by dripping this out and selling the technology that they don't want to give up. I get the feeling it's more than a feeling, Dave. I'm trying to not say that I know things, but I think we have got craft, our own craft. There was a video put out the other day by James Landoli. It was the old Lazar tape with Leah, where they were in the desert and they were watching the craft go up because Bob knew when the craft was going to be doing the testing. And I saw that video and I sent some questions off, and it was more or less made clear that is a real craft. Now they didn't say that Bob Lazar is real. I mean, I don't think Bob Lazar is real. I think Bob Lazar is basically the guy that was down the pub that would listen to the guys from the base and pick up on things. If there's a test on Tuesday, go and have a look. And very, very clever guy, but I'm not convinced that he was ever at a military base or anything. Sorry, I missed. What was the question again, Dave? I go off on tangents because I'm not awake.
That's okay. That's what I like about you is you do go off on tangents, and I think that's a good thing. But for you, okay, the big topic of du jour right now is disclosure versus confirmation. But if we are thinking that these are ours and everything, what are they studying then? Like earlier, you brought up about werewolves and monsters and aliens and everything like that. And from people I've talked to, they all seem that the phenomena, if we can use it as a term, is all interconnected as one. What are we doing here? Do we even know?
Well, I think they think that they're not really werewolves and monsters. I think they think that our perceptions are being altered by the phenomena. That they're manipulating us, and so they make us see things like our fears and things like that from I don't know why we would be thinking of werewolves. It's a strange one, or even Bigfoots and things like that. Those ones are strange, but I get the feeling that this phenomenon is basically manipulating our perceptions, and maybe we're even enabling that. Because as humans, we see things, anything we don't understand, we tend to give them an icon, and so that we can give them an identity, try and put some, give it an idea, give us a way of realizing what we're seeing. Do you understand what I mean? Because and maybe we're misinterpreting our own interactions with this, whatever this is. Because we're doing that, maybe this whatever we're encountering is actually trying to communicate with us, and because of the way we are and we perceive things and we give them this icon, maybe we're just misinterpreting it, and we're never going to be able to speak to whatever this is. Who knows? I mean, unless it is time travel and they're manipulating us because they know us so well, they're able to, they're able to manipulate us and stop us looking into them. And, who knows? I mean, if it's time travel, maybe they've implanted people in the government, Dave, and that's part of the reason for the cover up,
Okay, so let me ask you this. As I've said to our audience here, and I know, John, you listen quite a bit when you can, because, I mean, you sleep about 32 minutes a night, So the idea behind this is, and one of the things that I have stated is, right now, there are no bad questions. We can assume the answers, but we have no real answers as to what's going on. Those are all locked in some Pandora's box in the middle of the Pentagon, about 38 floors below. And I'm exaggerating on that, obviously. But the idea behind it is, whether it's Lazar, whether it's Eisenhower, whether it's time travel, whether it's anything right now, it's very hard to even draw any sort of conclusion on that, because there are so many different angles and facets to this game right now that people are playing, that it's impossible to know what is real and what is truly fake.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, it's we've got to try and sift through the disinformation that's been put out there over the years, and now this group, this counter committee, they do seem to be okay. TTSA has disappeared almost. There's now, what are they called? TSA or something like that. I can't think what they're called now, but that side of it is gone. But they're into the next stage. The main thing basically was to get congressional hearings. I don't think that was ever for us, though, Dave. Like I said, I'm going off on a tangent again here, but I think the congressional hearings were for Congress to regain control, because they'd lost control because they'd all gone into the private sector, and almost a government within a government was controlling this and keeping things even from the likes of the president. I think some of the presidents did know, don't get me wrong, but there is definitely a government within a government. You're of Zodiac, the Zodiac that Lou Elizondo won't speak about. The only things I could find about the Zodiac in the government was there's a group of generals basically, and the group is called Zodiac. And in the event of a major disaster in America, where the government is killed, or they're taken out basically, maybe by COVID or something else, who knows? And if something like that ever happened, there's a team called Zodiac basically that take over. Now, that in itself, I don't know whether that's related at all to what Lou Elizondo won't speak about, Dave, but I've gone off on a tangent again, haven't I? And
Zodiac, you're filling us in. You're doing great.
Yeah. So Zodiac will basically take over. Is this the same sort of thing as MJ12? Is that same group, the Majestic 12, the committee, as a lot of us now call them, that have kept this topic quiet? Is it the same group? I'm not really sure, but I mean, we do know there are retrieval teams that have been going around and collecting craft and materials from around the planet. We know the same thing. We're about to see James Fox's new movie. It looks like a blockbuster coming out on the topic about a crash that basically happened in almost like Central Park in the States. But imagine if Roswell had happened in Central Park, But that is exactly the same sort of thing that happened in Brazil, and we're going to be seeing that in his movie. So that's going to be really interesting. That's coming out very shortly. Where was I, Dave? I need the coffee, mate.
Well, you have about 9 minutes here before you got to grab a coffee, and we're going to hold you until then. But disclosure, okay, everything you're telling me is confirmation that there is something strange going on, confirmation that the government really doesn't want this topic out, no matter what side they are on, and they're not even sure of what it really is. But we also have people having major experiences, not just people like you and me who are on the outside looking in, but our listeners. There's people within government. I was once told that, the people who are working the UFO project, and there are hundreds of them at the Pentagon, that are all experiencers. And that's why they are working these secret projects trying to figure out. Then we look at maybe Skinwalker Ranch or Blind Frog Ranch, the Bradshaw Ranch down in Arizona, where strange things are happening. Okay, I have a friend of mine, Jürgen Hess, who was literally down there this weekend, literally sent me a photo of what looks to be a three-toed dinosaur print. And I know that's major woo right now, Jonathan. Hard to believe. But this is some of the weird stuff that people are still believing that they see. So in my aspect of everything, disclosure means what Tim Burchett, the congressman, states. Let's see it all. Let's open up the books. Let the public see what happened at Roswell on forward. And yet we're not getting that. We're getting we can't show you that 21-minute video that every government official has bragged about. We can't show you this. We can't show you that. Much like, showing, a really bad photos or video of a car crash to a young child who could be traumatized by it. I mean, there's a lot of games going on right now.
There's also people like Ross Coulthard who have got a major documentary coming out in the next week. On the 14th, is coming out in Australia on 7 News. I think the channel is that Ross tends to work with, and he's going to be interviewing quite a few people on there. And one of those people is Gary Nolan. Gary Nolan just did an interview with Tucker Carlson. I'm not a big fan of Tucker Carlson, but on that particular interview, I thought was excellent. He posed some really, really decent questions to Gary, and Gary opened up. And from what I can gather from Ross, Gary was even more forthcoming in their interview. He was a lot more forthcoming from some of the things Ross has kindly told me on that. And like I say, he spoke to a few other people there, and he also went to Washington and to Congress, and he spoke to people there, and he tells me that they really are interested in getting this out, Dave. This isn't we're not going to have a blue book congressional hearings. If we do get public side of it, it is going to be pretty major, and there are going to be some very decent questions posed. We know that they put the Wilson documents onto the record last time with Gallagher, basically Congressman Gallagher. He was briefed by Gary Nolan, and that's why he knew to ask about the Wilson documents. Yeah, that was part of the briefing that Gary did. I mean, that's what I say. Gary is being a major player behind the scenes. And when I talk about the counter committee, I have the feeling that Gary would be one of the people that would be on that committee. He's good friends with Hal. He's very good friends with Jay Stratton. Yeah. I mean, I've got a list of names that I've put together that might be on that counter committee. I'm amazed that people haven't really been in the community, haven't been thinking that this is all planned. That it's always felt to me that this has been planned down to the finest detail. They seem to be, okay, we're moving forward. This is the next stage. This is the next stage. And you can see this progression that's been taking place. We'll get us in the media. We'll change the narrative. Yeah. I mean, they really, I mean, even Lou having these sock puppet accounts where he was chatting to people behind the scenes, enabling himself. I mean, that's part of the reason he had those accounts. He was able to speak to people that he couldn't speak to generally in the UFO Twitter, and he could keep an eye on things. And I mean, that's the real reason for those. Okay, he did back himself up.
I didn't have a problem with that.
Not me. I didn't have a problem with it either. I mean, I don't think you should be, if you've got another account as well as the main account, you shouldn't be saying, yes, you're right, mate, to your own account. I don't like that sort of thing, but I didn't see any issue with him having other accounts. He needed to be able to speak to the right people at the end of the day, and I'm quite happy with the way he's done things. I mean, I've never jumped on board like a lot of people. I'm not one of the fanboys. You know, I don't attach myself too closely to anyone in this topic. You get burned, I've found, so I don't do that. And we know he was intelligence community, so you know that's always put me off slightly. Rick Doty was from the intelligence disinformation side of things as well, and that was the reason that Lou was originally brought into TTSA. You know, he was there as counter intel. That was his main role. He was never going to be the main spokesman. I'm not really sure how he did end up becoming the main spokesman, but I get the feeling that Jim Semivan was actually supposed to be the person that came out and started speaking about this. So it might be that Jim is actually a little bit too woo, strangely enough. You know, as we've seen, he does tend to. He had his in-house experiences, and he has been speaking about them, and maybe that was the reason they said no. Lou might be the person to do this, and you know, and he took on that role, and good on him for doing it.
Well, there's a lot of characters at play here and a lot of bingo cards at play here, and everybody seems to be wanting to hit the jackpot. I mean, with 3 minutes to go here, John, before we go to break here at the top of the hour, who's right? Who's leading the way? Who should we be following on disclosure versus confirmation? Because, I mean, you just talked a little bit about Elizondo, but he's the one who's saying, yeah, we're about halfway through public disclosure right now. I haven't seen that. I'm a fan of Elizondo, but I have not seen that whatsoever.
Difficult to say that what I've been told on this one, but I think over the next 24 months, you're going to be happy, Dave. Okay, so the things that we're not getting yet, and the data that people are calling for when the likes of Gary speaks, and when Lou speaks, you know, it's easy to say things, but then not back it up with data. That's what people are going to be complaining about, mainly the trolls. I mean, they're going to be shut up in the next 24 months. Things are going to come out that are going to be changing us as a species. I think, you know, things in the hearings. I'm just hoping though that they've got to be public hearings. Otherwise, I'm not sure how we're going to find out. This is congressmen are definitely going to find out within the next 24 months exactly what's been going on. But how we get that part, you know, we had when they released that June report, that first report into what we were seeing, and we didn't get anything in that. You know, it was a minor report for the community, but everything was supposedly in the annex, in the private annex, and that is my worry. You know, we're going to get yearly reports now, we're told, but is everything again, all the juicy stuff, going to be put in the private annex? One of the things that Hal Puthoff said when we did that conference, the SCU, when he was speaking, I asked him the question, you know, what are we going to learn? You know, are we going to find out the real information? And he said, no, you haven't got a snowball's chance in hell of finding out. They're going to keep everything behind closed doors. So that was the mindset of this counter committee at that point. And I think that's what they've been pushing for. Things are going to change, Dave. Things are going to come out. You know, I think we are going to find out that yes, private sector has developed technology. I don't know whether it's the likes of the Tic Tacs, but I mean, it does seem to be that there are things out there that I'm aware of. There was in the book, the Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, there was a mention of an orb that entered a car, Dave. Yeah, and it went through the car door and it entered the human and the driver of the vehicle, and basically went through his body and gave him cancers and tumors and terrible things. You know, it did. Now, I'm pretty certain that came from a test range, and that is our technology. And it basically escaped the test range. And that was part of the reason they put that in the book. They're almost saying to these private sector, we know you have this technology and we know what they're doing, and people are getting injured.
Well, we'll find out more. We're going to go deeper into this subject with researcher, experiencer Jonathan Davies up early in the United Kingdom to join us here on Spaced Out Radio. We will also take some of your questions if you're in one of our chat rooms on Spaced Out Radio tonight. We'll be back with hour number 2 next. All right, John, I'm going to put you in the green room. I'm going to the green room. I'll be right back here, guys. Now, normally we have Dirty Filth in here, but he's got the night off. He had to work late tonight. So we don't really have any cartoons planned for you. So me and John are hanging out. Yeah, we're doing the hangout session here. TMI, how you doing? Jessica S., welcome back. Who else is joining us here? James Weston, thank you for joining us. Robert Lamoth, Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio, looking good tonight. And Pam Smith, nice to see you. Okay. Oh, excuse me. A little bit of a burp there. Look at Jonathan Davies looking styling and profiling with his UFO shirt on. He wore that specifically for us today. Wore it specifically for us.
This is a painting that my a friend that lives just down the road from me. He's a serious experiencer, crazy experiencer. You know, the whole family got abducted, Dave.
Oh my!
And he painted this. He was never a painter before his abduction. He never did any paintings, never did any drawings, and basically does a painting every day now. Yeah, so
wow.
I've put this on for him because I'm doing a conference with him next month. He's asked me, he's coming out basically next month and doing a small conference in our local town, and I'm going along now. And he said I was just doing an intro, and apparently now I'm doing a full presentation myself. You know how it works, Dave.
Good. You deserve it. Hey, thank you to Smithy, Cat Chaser, Courtney, and Cat Chaser again for the amazing super chats. Hi, Arlene. How you doing? Sonia's News. Looking good. All right, here we go, everyone. Hour 2 now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Idiogenis. Idiogenis is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We are talking tonight with experiencer and researcher Jonathan Davies, who is hanging on out with us, giving us the latest lowdown of what is happening in disclosure versus confirmation. Now, there's a lot to be said about what is happening on the government side of things. Is it a giant cover-up, or are aliens actually coming here? Now, Jonathan, one of the things that I want to talk about this hour before we get some questions is abductions. Okay, you've been abducted. I've been abducted. Number of people that we know and talk to have been abducted, including people who are heavily researching this field on a governmental level for the last number of years. What are the abductions then if these beings, ultra-terrestrials, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, are really not from space?
I don't really get the question, to be honest, Dave. What do you want me to say on that?
Well, where are we going? Who's taking us? What's happening?
God, I wish I knew the answer to that. Let's say, I don't know. I don't think it's ET. But then I was shown a video the other day, supposedly on board a craft. And it does, you can almost see a strange, I don't know what to call it, a strange creature, basically. There is what looks like a small grey, and there is another like mantid type creature on this, but it's very difficult to see it properly. So I can't really go much into that because I've promised I'm not supposed to discuss it at all, but I have seen a video that there is a video out there that people in the media have got that tends to seems to show an abduction taking place. But it's not, the clarity on it isn't great, like I say. So I wish I knew what these things are when you go on board, Dave. I mean, the only memory I've got of being on board is when I was a child, and I would just be led in a room on a surface, on a cold surface, and just see eyes going around me. You know, I mean, I didn't see the aliens. That's why I say I couldn't say they were aliens. You know. And again, we know they alter our perceptions. So did that even take place? I don't know. You know, I know that I didn't have a memory for 2 days on one of the events, and I literally lost my memory for 2 days of what had been going on. I didn't have a clue. You know, I literally found myself in a field one day looking up at a craft, and then with no idea how I got there. And it's a strange one. It is a strange one. I wish I knew more about the abduction side of things. You know, if some of the things you hear are terrible. You know, some of the things that happen to these people, and people have got PTSD from that side of things. But we just haven't learned enough. I mean, that's part of the full disclosure is what we need on that. That's why I say, you know, the technology doesn't really interest me anywhere near as much as finding out the real information as to why they're doing all this to us. You know, who are they? What are they? What's it all about? You know, what if it is the beings from the future and they are messing with our DNA? Again, what is the purpose of that? Is that for their enhancement in the future? I don't know. You know, I don't want to blag things. That's my big thing in this topic is I see people go on podcasts and they blag things they don't know about, and they're literally coming out with things they're just speculating about as if it's real and true when it's not. You know, they're literally just being put on the spot, and they're trying to give an answer and not look foolish, but they end up looking foolish. I prefer not to look foolish, David. Tell your listeners something that if I don't know about it, I'd rather say, look, I don't have a memory of it, so I don't really want to speculate too much because I could be leading you down the wrong path. You know.
Well, I think we're all being led down some sort of path in regards to what's happening, because let's face it, the phenomena we know has gone through lineage over decades, from child to parent to grandparent to great-grandparent in many situations. Others, such as myself, it happened later on in life, as far as I know. Others, like yourself, it's happened since childhood, but it may not happen to your brother or your sister or your mom and dad. I mean, I don't understand how they're even choosing this, whoever they are.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not even certain that you do actually go physically onto a craft. I get again, I'm speculating, but it's from my own personal experiences. They've come into my house, yeah, and I think if they're abducting us in any way, I think they're actually abducting our consciousness. You know, my friend that I spoke about about this T-shirt when we were in the break just now, that drew this T-shirt with his family got abducted. I think that the whole family were still in the car. They never left the car, but I think their minds or their consciousness was abducted and taken somewhere, and things were shown to them. I think maybe when they get taken somewhere, they get put into another body or another, a vessel of some type, so that they're able to look around and they're able to, he was telling me that the man that was driving this car that got abducted, he was basically telling me that he was he couldn't walk properly. He was having to, like, as if he was learning to walk in whatever he was in. He couldn't look at his own body. He was in something that he couldn't move around properly. He was able to walk around the craft and see these different beings, but he couldn't walk properly. And that to me sounds like, because he'd never used that body before. Do you understand what I mean? That they transferred his consciousness into something that he wasn't used to, and he hadn't learned how to use that vessel, that body to walk around. And again, it's because the people wake up during these abductions. They'll suddenly, like that family again, they all woke up and they were all in the car. He was actually still driving when he woke up. Do you understand what I mean? It's like they froze time, took him or his consciousness, didn't actually take him out of the car because he was still driving when he woke up. And, he said he almost crashed the car when he finally came to, when he came back into the car, and they were all looking at each other. They were all sick. They literally got out the car and they were all vomiting. It's a crazy story. Maybe we'll do another show on that sometime, Dave, in the future, because there's a hell of a lot to that one. I've seen some amazing pictures of this guy has taken since all this has happened.
See, I don't know, John. I mean, I don't know if the phenomena is different to each and every one of us, or if there is something that you'll experience and I won't experience and vice versa. Okay. I don't get it. All right. I don't get, like, in hearing you talk, I don't get the aliens in the forest that Samantha Mowat took me out to see. I don't get Carl at the window watching me broadcast my show, or when I woke up on the table and saw the three beings there and I knew I was there physically. I don't get all of that. I'm just using myself as an example here. And I'm not saying you're wrong, John. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm wondering if the phenomena has a different path for each and every one of us.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I've gone too far down the altered perceptions and it's an out of body experience side of things. I might well have, but that's my current thinking on it. I keep evolving it like you do, Dave. We've got to keep evolving it. Maybe there's a bit of both going on. We see people with body marks and implants. I mean, obviously, to get those, they would have had to be physically taken. So, it does make sense that maybe there's a bit of both going on. It's a strange one, but I do definitely know that they are altering our perceptions, because I've had that myself, and I recognize now when they're trying to trick me. Yeah, they'll show me something.
Who's they?
Well, that's it. Who are they? Yeah. You want me to speculate again? I mean, that's...
Well, I'm not asking you to speculate. You've had a relationship like this almost your entire life.
I know, but this is the major frustration, isn't it? I've had this relationship and it's been going on literally say all my life, and I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, and I get the impression that these people that we do see, the top people that we do know about in the public realm now that have come out and did run the programs, I think that they are frustrated as well because they don't know. But they do know that there are people above them that have kept this secret that have a lot more information. Yeah, and part of what they're doing is to try and force this out so that they can get the information. I don't think they're that bothered about us getting the information, Dave. I think it's more down to they want the information, and that if all this amazing technology is out there, it should be in the public realm. Maybe that's their thinking. I don't know. I mean, Lou Elizondo seems to be wanting to go down we need a major shift in our perception of reality, and we need to change humanity for the better. And, we need to know, that seems to be where he's coming from these days. He's completely changed. I've noticed he seems to have gone into a different stage of the way he's speaking about this as well.
We've heard Jim Semivan, come out as an experiencer that him and his wife were abducted together in their bedroom, and they saw little gray people around their bed. We've heard other people come out with their own experiences. What would it mean if somebody like Elizondo came out as an experiencer? Would it put more emphasis on the subject?
Well, it'd be great for other experiences. I mean, that's the main thing I don't like. It's not that I don't like it. I stayed quiet myself about this until about 5 years ago. Like I said, I had a really bad childhood, as in I couldn't speak to people about this, and it was a real issue for me. And I think Lou's basically not speaking about it because he needs to be taken seriously in the media, and he wanted them to be following this story and really, he needed to come across as extremely credible. I'm telling you this happened and I run this program, and this matter needs to be taken seriously. If he come out and said, oh, by the way, I got abducted in the middle of the desert, and they did this to me, and I saw little aliens, and all of a sudden we're back to the X Factor side of things, and you can already see the smirks on the media people's faces as they're interviewing him. If he started coming out with that originally, I think he's taken the right route, as in gently introducing people to this, and now it's gotten to Congress, and now they're actually taking it seriously. Now he can start talking about being an experiencer. Maybe we'll find out he's got a book coming out. Eventually it'll be coming out, and maybe that's the point where we find out about his experiences. I don't think it's going to be before then, because he's still, even though he's not doing all the interviews he was doing before, he's not doing all the media interviews he was doing before, he's still needs to be a lot bit more careful on that side. And that's why I think Gary Nolan has come out now, and I think they need to be talking about experiences, and they need to be talking about what some will consider the woo side of this topic. The general public will consider the woo side of the topic. We don't think it's woo, Dave, me and you, but the general public is going to think it's woo when people start saying I had aliens in my bedroom. But I've got a feeling that we're going to be hearing a lot more. It's not a feeling. We are going to be hearing a lot more about personal experiences of top people over the coming weeks and months.
Top people is in who?
I'm not going into that yet, Dave. I'll let it come out, and I'll let this progress in the way they want it to progress, and I knowing that it's going to come out, so I'm not covering anything up, but I'm going to let them do it the way they want to release it, and because I think they're actually doing it the right way. So I'll not give out any names on you now, but know that there is some big information coming out
of the U.S. or around the world.
It's mainly the U.S. I mean, the rest of the world is not really doing anything on this. I mean, the UK actually did disclosure. We've already done disclosure in the UK. People, it completely bypassed people, but it was done. Disclosure in the UK was done years ago. It wasn't done by Nick Pope, though.
Don't even get me started on Nick Pope. You know my feeling on that. You totally know my feeling on that.
Yeah, fraud. Total fraud, in my opinion.
Never run into him. Never run into him, because you will get stuck on his Velcro hair.
I knew you were going to mention hair at some point, Dave.
Always. But I mean, I will start listening to Nick Pope when he starts speaking some original thought instead of stealing the words of everyone else. That's when I'll start listening to Nick Pope.
Well, he's got nothing to offer, as far as I can tell. He's got. I mean, he comes across well in the States because he's a well-spoken Englishman. They love the accent, and he pushes the fact that he was UK government looking into this topic. This is a guy who was sat at a desk drinking his cup of tea and answering the phone when the public phoned up and said, "I've just seen a light in the sky. Oh, can you give me details on that?" That was basically what he did. He didn't do any more than that. Parliament, if they need an answer on something, they have these basically secretaries that they can go to and say, "Give me the answer on this." Yeah, so if I'm asked the question in Parliament, I can answer it. And that is the sort of role that Nick Pope had. He didn't do any investigation. He never went out of his office. He never went into the field. He didn't turn up at Rendlesham and with the Geiger counters and measure the radiation. He wasn't doing anything like that. He was no Fox Mulder. Yeah, basically the BBC did a huge disservice to the community and the topic by putting him on just after he left his role at the MOD. And basically BBC Newsnight is a major show in the UK, and they put Nick Pope on with his new book, and they give him a platform, and it went around the world, because he was on that program. Journalists took him seriously. This is the guy to speak to about UFOs in the UK. I mean, Lou Elizondo actually didn't do us a good service either. He did us a disservice by following Nick Pope and mentioning Nick Pope a few times and give him credibility again. But all Nick Pope does is sell stories to the gutter press. And any story that they want to write up themselves, he'll put his name to. There's never any facts to any of it. If they said there was a school bus has been found on the moon, you can see Nick Pope's name under it. He was only a few months back, he was saying that seagulls were spies for aliens. The guy is an absolute joke. I mean, we all know this in the UK as well. We know that the real investigation work was done by DI55, Defence Intelligence Office in the UK. They were doing the real investigation work into this. I mean, I've heard private conversations with people who used to work for that team, and Nick Pope never gets a mention. I mean, we've seen people have done freedom of information requests about Nick Pope and what his role was, and we've got the letters back in those information requests saying what his role was, and he had nothing to do with UFOs. He was not doing any real research. People need to stop following the guy, stop putting him on Ancient Aliens and all these shows. I mean, he seems to be on every documentary, and it's nuts, Dave. I mean, it's part of as far as I'm concerned, it's part of the secrecy and keeping things from us is having people like Nick Pope put in front of us who knows nothing. He doesn't know anything. I wouldn't bother. He wouldn't make his way into our group that we chat in, Dave. I wouldn't let him in because he's got nothing to offer.
Well, I mean, besides bad hair, the only thing he has to offer is to quote Chris Mellon and Lou Elizondo. That's all he offers.
Yeah.
And it's fraudulent.
Yep. I agree.
Journalism at its best. And that isn't down Nick Pope as a person. That's putting down the fact that he doesn't seem to do his job very well. And that's just being blunt. If you're an insider, you have to be able to provide information the same way an NFL insider would, or an NHL or a Major League Baseball or an NBA insider would look at it. You need to be talking to people. You need to be getting that information and not just quoting something that Elizondo said on a podcast 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and he's made a lot of money out of it, Dave. I mean, when all this came out with the New York Times and the videos came out, every single news show around the world had Nick Pope on there, and the guy was charging like $3,000 per appearance, and he was doing 5 or 6 shows a day. He was making some serious gravy. He was on the gravy train, and he was making some serious money out of this. And that was on top of all the articles that he was putting out. And the only case that he's ever really come out with, he used to talk about the Calvine UFO picture that used to be in his office, the picture on his wall that shows like a diamond-shaped craft and what looks like a fighter jet escorting it or chasing it. I know that is basically a US craft. It's a black world technology craft. I know that for a fact, and I've listened to the DI5 people talking about how they knew that was American technology, and this he's basically an idiot. He had American technology picture on the wall. When the Americans found out, they made him take the picture down, and they went absolutely nuts about it.
Well, we got less than a minute to go. And when we come back, because we have you for another half an hour here, we'll get a couple audience questions that we have regarding this, including, what do you think about Stephen Greer? I mean, we could even start on that. We got 30 seconds.
I'm not a fan. I mean, I used to be, when I first started, when the internet came out, and there was a lot of interviews that he put up with people on deathbed confessions and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I watched all of those, and a lot of those were really, really interesting. So his early days work I found interesting, and since then he's sold his soul and seen that money is more interesting to him, and I'm not impressed with him anymore. I wouldn't have anything to do with him.
Well, we'll soon find out a little bit more. Coming up is we got Jonathan Davies, researcher, experiencer, insider to information on Spaced Out Radio. Jonathan joining us from the United Kingdom tonight. It's always good to have him on. It's always a learning experience. And we'll get to more deep UFO questions when we return on Spaced Out Radio for the second half, right after this. Good times. 208 people watching right now. Do us a favor, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. It really helps with our algorithms with YouTube. We'd greatly appreciate it if you don't mind. Thank you. What's your temps like over there?
Oh, we've got some real hot weather coming in. I mean, I'm going away in a couple of days. We're going to have only for about 4 days. We're going to friend's got like a static caravan, a large, beautiful static caravan right on the coast.
Oh, nice.
He's given us that for a few days, so we're going away now. But 35, I think, is the massively hot it's going to be. So a bit worried about taking my dog in that sort of temperature, and yeah, we had some heat waves. That's probably part of the reason I'm seeing things in the skies again, Dave. There's no cloud. I mean, normally Wales is covered in cloud, and if it's not raining, it's just cloudy,
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a heat wave here. That's been happening the last little bit, which is nice. Very nice. Not too hot, not too cold, and the forest fires are staying away, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, oh my God, it's completely brown now. We haven't had rain for literally well over a month. That's unheard of in Wales, and there's no sight of it at all in the forecast.
Well, you know what? We had last week, we've had a really good summer so far, where it'd be like really warm during the day, and then it would rain at night. So everything, I mean, it's been perfect for the forest this year. I mean, I was just in the forest last weekend, and everything is still green, which is the last few years. I mean, it's so tinder dry that you're even afraid to fart out there because you never know what's going to spark something, right? And YJ, who's north of me, I mean, he lives in a rural community just like me, where, like I said, you look at the forest the wrong way, it starts to burn. I mean, it's been quite a pleasure this year, not having to do anything. And I just redid my fire pit too, and I can't even use it yet because of fire bans.
Yeah, I've got a ton of rubbish that I've been waiting to burn, and it's just piling up. And I've got stables on the farm, and the buildings are just filling up with this rubbish, and I'm running out of space now, and I can't burn any of it because, where I burn it is near some trees, and the trees haven't had any water for so long, and I'm just worried the whole place will go up if I start burning this rubbish.
Well, aren't you allowed to use a sprinkler there?
Yeah, but where I burn it is it's quite away from the house, and it doesn't reach that far, unfortunately, the hose pipe. And
right. We got about a minute and a half here, bud.
So what have you been up to, Dave? Have you been out and about looking for a Sasquatch?
I have. I went out about a week ago, and was trying to. I went and took away about half of my gifting site that I had. Excuse me. And just to kind of put it all together and clean it up a little bit. We haven't been getting much action out there at all. It doesn't surprise me, but I'm just trying some different ways of getting into the area, see what works, what doesn't. Right now, I'm on a lot of what doesn't again. I I can't quite put my finger on it, you know. I really can't.
But you're a true believer in the Sasquatch side of things. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, seeing too, and then when you see them, but when you're in the middle of nowhere, and then you come across a 15 or 18-inch print, or you're in the middle of nowhere and you have something stalking you, like what happened to my buddy Mark, who was in here earlier, along with my buddy Merle, and you hear it talking, you get pretty convinced. And 1 second here. Thank you to Smithy, Cat Chaser times 2, and Courtney for the amazing super chats. We're going to get going here with the second half of the show right after this. Or here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. And, of course, follow us on our social media pages on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight for the final time. Jonathan Davies is here. He's an experiencer, researcher, a little bit of an insider when it comes to information about what is going on here. And, John, got a question here from one of our listeners, Wham Bam Ham. What's Tom DeLonge up to these days? Has he released any more info?
Yeah, he's got a movie coming out. He's been doing that for about the last 2.5 years. God, I'm trying to think what this called. Aliens of California or some Monsters of California, something like that is coming out. He's literally just released a trailer for the movie. The trailer actually looks really good. It looks like a really well-made movie. So I was talking to Hal about it the other day, and he's seen a lot of the clips, and he's really impressed with how Tom's put it together. It seems really professional, and it'd be interesting if he drops drops a few hints in there, what we're actually encountering, what he thinks, this is. I mean, a lot of people have a go at Tom, but at the end of the day, we wouldn't be where we are today. He was the person that started or pushed the TTSA side of things and got the likes of Hal speaking, got the likes of Chris Mellon involved. We wouldn't be where we are now if he hadn't started the ball rolling. So kudos to him. I'd quite like to speak to him, but I've asked Hal, will he put me in touch with him? And he says, I tried to get him in our group, Dave. Yeah. And he said he's already so well informed. He doesn't really need any more advisors and things taking him off different tangents, because they're very happy where he's gone with this and what he's done. So they prefer to keep him. I think it might be more about keeping him a little bit under control as well. Don't let him speak to the likes of.
We don't need him speaking anymore. We don't need him speaking. And I'm sorry, I disagree with you on hey, we all have our own sources. We all have our own ways of getting information, but I don't believe the Tom DeLonge story setting up this entire thing at all. I don't believe it.
Oh, Tom didn't say that. Tom didn't say that at all.
Jonathan, you froze up here. I'm going to quickly take you out until you unfreeze here. And John, once again, has been having some computer troubles earlier today. We will get him back here momentarily. Well, the reason why, and I'll explain to our audience, the reason why I don't believe Tom DeLonge set up the To the Stars Academy was because anybody. And the idea that we're all supposed to buy the fact that numerous people came out and reached out to him and said, you got to run this. You got to put this together. Only you can put it together. Yet when you looked at his team, it was damn near identical to the team that Robert Bigelow had when he had Skinwalker Ranch, Bass, Nids, you name it. It just wasn't very hard. And I think what they needed was someone who was popular. They needed someone to be the face of the franchise who was not afraid to have, people critique him. And I think he was an easy target. I'm talking about Tom DeLonge here in regards to setting everything up, allegedly. Jonathan Davies is back with us. We got
Sorry,
you, John.
mate, just lost the internet there again.
That's okay. You still look good and you still sound good, and we're still ready to push here for another 19 minutes with you, my friend. In regards to the whole Tom DeLonge aspect, no, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. And we can, the Tom DeLonge in ufology, that is something that I think you could do an entire 7-hour show on and only get through about half of it.
Yeah, I mean, they've used people like Tom DeLonge in the past. There's been other people that just like Tom DeLonge. They use to front things, to bring things forward, and sometimes to push disinformation. But I think Tom actually did find the right group of people that did want disclosure, or a form of disclosure at least. But the reasons originally were completely different to what they are now. I think they've decided that this needs to really come out. I think, like I said, you're seeing Lou Elizondo completely change the way he's been speaking about this recently. He does want humanity to be changed by what comes out. They do seem to want to go further than just making the Congress to get back control and for the military to start working on this properly, so they weren't, stopped from working on it by the Collins elite. Yeah, he's a strange one, Tom is. Whether he'll be put on the back burner again now this movie is finally finished, I don't know. I mean, people didn't realize that the likes of Hal also left the TTSA at the same time as Chris Mellon and Lou Elizondo. When people only realized in the last few months that he left at exactly the same time. Yeah, I mean, the main reason for that is because they couldn't get the funding to do the materials research, which is why they did the CRADA internally with they gave them the material. They didn't do the research themselves because they couldn't get the money. They gave the material they had gathered to the military. I mean, excuse me, what people are not noticing at the moment, excuse me a sec, Dave.
No problem. Grab a drink there.
Is that the CRADA is still ongoing. Yeah, it hasn't gone away. They're still investigating that material that was given to them. If that material was, they've had that now for well over a year and a half. And if that material was junk, they wouldn't still be looking at that material. So, people need to realize that material is obviously special as well. So people have stopped talking about it. I don't really understand why they stopped talking about it. That's one of the things that should come up hopefully in the hearings. What is this material that you have?
Well, I think, John, the main reason why it goes silent is people are used to drive-through windows, that the minute you make the order, that you should have it by the time you reach the next window. And, studies like this, they aren't just there for a quick turnaround. If the metamaterials are real, they have to be able to take the time to get it done.
Yeah, part of the reason I came to the time travelers' hypothesis is the materials. I mean, it's the way the materials have been described and the way they've been put together in layers at the made at the atomic level, in layers, multi-layers. We haven't got the technology to do that yet. They have been trying to do that, and the chances are we are going to be able to do that in the future. But it's a long way into the future, yeah. But at the same time, the materials they found, I'm trying to think of the word, are from Earth, yeah. They're not from distant galaxies or anywhere else. All the materials in these layers are all from Earth, and so again, so we can't make it now, but all the materials are from Earth. Again, you can see where I came from, the time travel side of things. This from the future, and strange.
Very strange. Very strange indeed. I mean, as we go forward here in regards to the disclosure versus confirmation aspect, John, there's so many different ways that people are leading these days. What's your advice to people like our audience who are trying to figure this out on their own as well? I mean, how do they know what's real and what's not anymore if people such as yourself and many others are getting confused by the entire subject?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. I mean, that's why I try and guide people as much as I can with the things that I've learned. I've learned who to listen to and who not to listen to. That's why I don't listen to Greer. And I'm careful the people I do listen to, I don't get too close to them, because you never know whether you're being led down a certain narrative, with certain narratives are being pushed. So you've got to be careful on that score. It's very, very tricky, this topic is, in who to follow, who not to follow, who to listen to. Very, very difficult. I would watch the likes of Ross Coulthard and Bryce Zabel and yourself, who are pushing what I consider the more rational, plausible side of this topic. I mean, it is difficult, Dave. I wish I had the answers. I don't want to send people to look at certain people, because I don't trust anyone in this topic. Even a lot of the people I speak to. I mean, I'm still very, very cautious, and you have to be, because I've been burnt like other people have been burnt. There are people amongst us who are not who they say they are. Yeah. There are accounts where people don't use their real names. I'm not going into that side of things, but there are quite a few people who are not using their real names and their job roles. So it is tricky. I mean, we have got counter intel people amongst us. We've got intelligence community amongst us. We've got CIA amongst us, and they've all got a role and a purpose, and I'm not clear what that is. So I'm very cautious, as in who I recommend to others who they should speak to. I mean, if people want to go on Twitter and follow the same people as me, that might be a good suggestion. I don't know, because I'm very, very careful who I follow. Yeah, and I tend to vet quite a few people that I follow as well. That especially if they're talking out quite a lot and they're pushing a certain type of narrative. There are some people I will follow that I'm only doing it because I want to keep an eye on them.
Right. Well, let me ask you this then. What is your opinion of NASA and Bill Nelson? Personally, I think it's been totally disrespectful what he's been doing to the entire UFO world.
Yeah, they're basically they've been found out. This is all coming out. They know it's all coming out, Dave, and they've had to show that they're doing something, and they've got to be part of it because they're the space side of things. So they haven't done any choices to, coming out and say we're now investigating it. Well, we know damn well that they know all about this side of things. I mean, I've got 50 plus videos of NASA encounters with the space shuttles and things like that they shut off the cameras, and they know damn well there are things out there, and there always have been. There are videos from astronauts that filmed things on the moon. There are pictures from things on the moon, and they're so I don't buy the NASA side. We're now investigating it and giving them $100,000 to investigate it. Well, they can come to my YouTube channel. I can show them all the information they need, for nothing. So I don't buy that side of it at all. I'm a bit worried. I saw the person who's doing the investigation for Arrow is talking to Bill Nelson the other day. There was a picture of him he put up. And okay, it's good to see the guy. I can't think of his name now. Is it Moultrie or something like that?
It was Robert Moultrie.
Yeah, pushing that they just had a meeting and they're going to work together. Well, let's hope if NASA and this new group are working together, that they don't hide all the information in the annex again.
Can I interrupt you there for a second? Because I actually talked about this on the After Hours show on this past Saturday. I think it was an absolute insult to people in the UFO community that these two were so-called talking about unidentified phenomena, as Moultrie had put it. I mean, I ended up tweeting him back, and of course, no answer. I said, "Did you ask Mr. Nelson to check his own closets at NASA? They may know what's going on," right? I mean, to me, it's the ultimate slap in the face to ufology after basically NASA has been tight-lipped about the subject for 65 years. It's unconscionable that Bill Nelson would play the public as fools. But when you don't have a media that is strong enough on the topic to actually challenge him, that's where he kind of gets away with it and has the ability to get away with it. And
it's going to get awkward for him, Dave. There's a group. It's a public group called Vasco. It's the Vasco Project, VASCO Project, if anyone wants to look that up. And they're basically looking at old prints of the universe, pictures of basically stars that are around. We can see that have been taken over the last 100 years or more. And they found that there are objects that are no longer in these pictures. They've disappeared, like as if they're disappearing stars. Well, where it's going to get very, very awkward for Bill Nelson going forward is that those were never stars. Those were objects that are in orbit that have moved. Okay. And how do I say this without telling you too much? Yeah. There are literally thousands of these objects in orbit. Okay. Thousands. I mean, you hear of, is it the Black Knight? The Black Knight satellites that everyone talked about. I mean, it's been going on for years and years and years. Well, maybe that was just one of the objects that their cloaking device shut off at certain points, and they were at a fault, and that's why they managed to take pictures of that. Well, guess what? There are thousands of those in orbit, and that is what we're going to find out. One of the things we're going to find out. I mean, I'm already finding that out. There is a satellite. It got leaked about a month ago on Reddit, and I know this is true. There's a satellite that literally got taken out of orbit, got reprogrammed. It got taken out of the galaxy, Dave. Okay, they tracked it. They tracked where it went. They found that it had been reprogrammed. It got put back where it was taken through, and they've got all these details. And do you know what? You've heard of the likes of Tim Taylor, who was Tyler out of American Cosmic, Diana Pasulka's book. Well, Tim Taylor works for Aerospace Corp alongside Eric Davis, and part of his job, I know, is building satellites for the NRO and sending them up. And some of these satellites are not pointing at Earth. Some of these satellites are pointing at these objects that they know are in orbit, and they're actually spying on those to keep an eye on them. So they've got a spy satellite spying on an object which is spying on our other satellites. It's pretty nuts. Yeah. And I am understating it when I say there are thousands of these objects in orbit, Dave. Okay. I'll tell you that much. Understating that. that is got to come out. I mean, that's part of this, the NASA stuff. If they don't know that, then there's something seriously wrong. If a public group can find these things with no financial backing at all, yeah. The person who's leading that project is Beatrice, and she is in our group. Okay, Dave.
Okay.
Maybe you should have her on the show, because
that's a good idea.
Yeah, because yeah, that's enough on that one. I'll leave it to her if she wants to talk any more about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just think that it's been quite insulting to watch NASA and Bill Nelson especially turn on his friends. He's an astronaut. And to sit there and say that we are just now looking into this to see if there's anything there, you basically just turned on all of your colleagues over the last 65 years, from Neil Armstrong to Edgar Mitchell to Bill Cooper, all the way to who's sitting on the International Space Station today, John.
Yeah, I mean, I think all that the likes of Hallen, some of the other people, they are happy that NASA is doing this, but they're not daft as well. They know full well that NASA knows all about this.
Oh, huge. I just think it's funny. You go on UFO Twitter and there's people waving the NASA flag. Yay, NASA. Go NASA. Rah, rah, NASA. Good for you guys coming out and taking this seriously. And I sit there and I think, really? Are you that bleeping stupid?
Yeah, well, they don't realize the likes of Tim Taylor, again, who was involved with Chris Bledsoe, and he worked for NASA. You know, he was a launch controller for the space shuttle. And a lot of the medical devices that were on board the shuttle, he actually designed as well. He's got a medical company, but so they know full well. I mean, people don't realize as well, Timothy Taylor is a consultant to SpaceX. So when Elon Musk is saying he doesn't know anything, Elon Musk, if you notice, will say, I don't think it's aliens. Well, I don't think it's aliens either, Dave. You know what I mean? So when he comes out and says, I don't think it's aliens, why isn't anyone saying, so if it's not aliens, what is it? That's what they're not saying to him. Is it time travelers? Nobody's asking him those sort of questions. So he's getting away with it's not aliens. And then people are saying, well, you know, he's a debunker, or no, he's just being very clever. You know, he's being very clever in the way he's getting away without actually speaking about it. But because, you know, the general public when they think of UFOs, they think of aliens. Well, that's part of, as far as I'm concerned, I think that's part of the cover-up. We've been led to believe that it's aliens.
Well, let's go to a final question here, because we only have 90 seconds, from YJ. John, is there anything that the UFO community is failing to look at that we should really put our attention towards?
That's difficult. I mean, we seem to be looking at most things now. You know, it's no. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that we're not covering. Apart from, I think we should pay more attention to experiences. Yeah. There are a lot of experiences to avoid. I wish I could put a list up, Dave, of people that I think are genuine, full-on experiences. I would look to people like Damien Knott in Australia, who I think is an absolute genuine experience. Who he doesn't come out with, I've had downloads, or the aliens are giving me messages or anything like this. He's just somebody who's had this all his life. He makes movies about it. If you want to go on Netflix or on Amazon, I think it's Australian Skies is one of his movies. It's definitely worth watching. You'll get an idea of Damien. Damien has actually got a YouTube channel as well. If you want to go on and see some of his amazing videos and pictures, he's a good friend of Ross. Ross is actually interviewing him now in the next few days again. Okay, I think it might be something to do with this documentary that Ross is coming out. It might be. I was only speaking to him yesterday, Dave, and Damien is very, very ill. and he's very ill because he had his encounter was very, very close with an orb, and you hear
Right.
Okay.
John, we got to say goodnight to you. We'll bring you on again soon when you want to feel like getting up early to join us. Jonathan Davies, experiencer, researcher, insider. Coming up next, it's a UFO report and Swamp Dweller to kick off number 3, hour number 3, that is, right after this. Great job, John. Great job
That went
tonight.
quick, mate. That went really quick.
Way too fast. Way too fast. I'm thinking of holding a panel here very soon regarding some information regarding this. So I will get back to you on that, okay?
Okay, man.
All right, brother. You go enjoy your morning tea or have a nap or go spend time with your daughter. I hope she liked her shout out the other day.
She did. She loved it, mate.
Good. Anything to make her happy. All right, guys. I'm going to say goodnight to John. I will be right back, and we'll be back here in just a few moments here. So thank you very much, and back with hour number 3 next. All right. As we say hello and get everybody ready for hour number 3, Steve Wolf, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Jonathan Davies, I know you prefer not being in the limelight. Appreciated you being on, buddy. Oh, hey, Clam. Because I just like saying, oh, hey, Clam. And Jerry Elmore, how you doing? Good to have you guys here. Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight. And for everybody who's given us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways, don't forget after the show, do leave a comment on what you think, because it really helps with our algorithms as we continue to grow this show over the weekend and into today. We passed 18,000 subscribers. We would really thank all of you for that. And when I checked earlier, right before the show, we were at 18,025. It's just an incredible run we're on right now. We want to try and hit at least 20,000 by the end of the year, hopefully sooner. Thank you tonight to Steve, Balut, Cat Chaser ×2, Courtney, and Smithy for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you so much. We're going to kick off hour number 3. The Swamp Dweller is coming up next, and then it's Tim with the UFO report. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Idiogenis. Idiogenis is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with the Swamp Dweller as we get ready to head off to the swamp for another spooky story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of some or spooky story that you would like to share. Be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. I live right next to a Navajo reservation and have made friends with many of the people there my age. We hang out, play games, and we're just ordinary teens. I walk over a lot since my best friend lives less than a mile away from me. This isn't a long trek and usually only takes me about 30 minutes or so. I've made this trip dozens of times and have become very comfortable with it. I know the people along the way, so I'm not scared or on edge. There's a patch of forest, however, about midway there. It's a little unnerving sometimes. There was always that feeling of being watched. This was a regular occurrence, so I tried to ignore it and shake it off as my mind playing tricks on me. On this day, I spent more time at my friend's house than I meant to, and when I left, it was already getting dark. I reached the stretch of forest right as the sun disappeared from the sky. I shivered a little as I readied myself to begin the journey through. I was about 10 to 15 steps in when I heard a tree branch snap. You know the sound that screams there is someone or something there with you? I froze, not sure of what I should do next. Should I run? Should I turn around and book it back at my friend's house? I didn't know the best option in this situation. I whispered, "Hello?" hearing my voice crack as the words fell from my lips. I don't even know why I opened my mouth, but it was out there, so I listened for any reply, anything at all. My heart sank when the answer came back in the same sound of my own voice, but distorted. Hello? I started to breathe too fast. My heart pounded against my chest. I felt like I would faint at any moment. Hello? My voice came again, but not from my mouth. I wanted to run, but my feet felt cemented to the ground. I could not make myself scream. I couldn't reply as my voice echoed over and over from a short distance away. I could not pinpoint exactly where it was coming from. It sounded like it was everywhere around me. Hello? 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 It repeated, "Stop it!" I finally managed to tear it from my lips, and everything went silent. For a long minute, nothing happened. The air grew stale, and I realized for the first time that there were no typical forest sounds. No bugs, no frogs, no crickets, nothing at all. I stood there, terrifying, waiting to see what would happen next. Stop it! It mimicked back. Somehow, I had had enough and was willing my heavy legs to move. Before I could take a step, I heard a rustling in the bushes 20 feet to my left. I watched in horror as a deer head with huge antlers protruded through the brush. I took off as it came out and stood up on 2 legs. I flew out of those woods and got home in record time. When I got there, I said nothing to my mother. I went straight to my room, laid down, and thought about what had just happened. My mother came in at some point and asked me if everything was okay. I replied that yes, I was just tired. I don't know why I didn't tell her. I might have been afraid of how she would react, I guessed. I called my friend and told him everything. He freaked out and said that no matter what happened that night, do not reply or look out my window. This terrified me even more. He said to call him the following day and he would explain more, and that he had to speak to his grandfather as soon as possible. That night, I could not fall asleep at all. I mean, could you blame me? I stayed awake, listening to every little sound that night brought. Sometime around 3 a.m., just as I was about to drift off to sleep, the air noticeably changed, and the night sounds quieted. I felt my heart begin to pound. I laid there and waited, pulling the covers over my head like a child, far too scared to move. It came after a silent moment. It was all too long. Hello? I cried. It was all I could do. Hello? Stop it. It mocked what I had repeated in the woods earlier. It was terrifying enough when it copied what I said. But then it did something new. It called my name. It called my name in my mother's voice. It just kept repeating, "Amy, Amy, come here." And then repeating those same phrases over and over. For the rest of the night, the creature outside my window called my name in my mother's voice and repeatedly repeated what I said in the woods. In the morning, it finally stopped when the sun broke through the dark. I fell into a fitful sleep. I woke up around midday to my friend calling me and telling me he had spoken to his grandfather and could explain exactly what was going on. He said there were creatures out there called fleshgates, or potentially even a skinwalker. He explained that it was an evil witch that used dark magic to transform into animals and other beings. It somehow caught my scent and knew me. It was attached to me, cursing me, if you will. I was also given a warning that since it knew me now, it would always follow me, that I would always have to be careful. Last night I heard scratching on my window, then a low hum. The creature began repeating my name and adding things I hadn't heard yet, again in my mother's voice. At one point it started calling my name but drawing it out far too long. It tried to get me outside or to open the door or to let it in my house. This went on all night. At this point I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't know what to do. Will it stalk the shadows around me for the rest of my life? I don't think I can honestly handle that.
Stalked by the woo in the middle of the night. That's why we love the Swamp Dweller around here, because he brings so many amazing stories to us each and every Monday through Friday night. And we love it with Swamp Dweller. You can go register for his YouTube channel. Hit subscribe at youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. And you can be a part of his family as well in the swamp. Highly, highly worth it. All right. Let's change the tune. Let's head on over to Tim Senor for the UFO report.
Nobody's going to know.
They're going to know.
All right, here's our man, myth, and UFO legend, Tim Senor, back in his home studio, ready for the UFO report. First off, Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, buddy. How about yourself?
I am doing fantastic. Doing
Yeah.
fantastic. My throat isn't as sore anymore. It
Good.
seems to be loosening up. I figured out what the problem was. I did some Google doctoring, and I couldn't shake this cough. Even earlier today, I couldn't shake my cough. And here's the reasoning I looked up. It's because my sinuses are packed. And what happens is in the back of your throat, they go drip, 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 drip. And that's what causes the coughing and the dryness. So that is what I'm going through right now. And I had it confirmed because shortly after I Google doctored, or is it Dr. Googled? One of the two. My cousin, who is a doctor, actually called me. And we were chatting about some stuff. And he's like, how you feeling? And I'm like, I can't shake this cough. And he's like, probably your sinuses. So I felt pretty good over that. Felt pretty good. But how about you? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm awesome. I mean, life is perfect. Free doctor advice. Who doesn't love that? But glad to see you're up and running around again, buddy. Chasing the big feet. Attaboy.
Well, that's what I do. That's what I do. And I got a big job coming up around the house here, maybe later on this week or early next week. I bought a wood shed. It's 6 feet by 12 feet long, and it holds 4 cords of wood. So my next big job that I have to do is I have to clean out my carport of all my firewood, and I got about 2.5 cords in there.
Didn't you tell me about this last week? This sounds like a job that's been tasked for a while, sir. Sounds like procrastination, Dave.
The shed hasn't been built and delivered yet. That's the only reason why I'm procrastinating.
Somebody else is building
right now. So it's someone else's problem right now. I just need to get the shed here once it's built. And then
Canadians
the job
delegate. That's right. That's excellent, Dave.
And then it's back. Hey man, I am only a month away from feeling manly again, firing up my chainsaw and going into the forest to look for some firewood. That's what I look forward to. That's what it's all about right there.
You're a lumberjack and it's okay.
You can come up and help me if you wish.
I did get my passport. I'm like free to come over there at will at this point.
Absolutely. As you should.
I might take you up on that.
Let's give a quick shout out to Cactus Jack in our chat room tonight, hanging on out. I haven't met him. You guys have met him. Said he's one hell of a good guy. So hello, Cactus Jack. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're having a great night tuning us in on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Tim, let's get right to it, my man, as we are going to get into the UFO report here. And, some tough subjects, especially coming off an interview like with our good friend here in Jonathan Davies, who, he's at kind of a loss of what is really happening out there. I mean, first off, you heard part of the interview. You're always paying attention. Should we be this confused?
Yeah. Yes, because the phenomenon seems to show itself in a different way every single time. So to be prepared to even collate anything or be prepared to capture anything is really tricky. So, to look at it from a science point of view, to do scientific method on it is really hard. And so for somebody that comes from that background, looking for that kind of data and information, you're going to be frustrated because you really have to cast a wide net and you may not be able to use traditional methods to do so. And so something that was once considered fringe science is now absolutely necessary and part of the recipe to capture this. So not everyone's ready for that.
Well, you know what? I don't even know what I'm ready for. All I know is that if you had the cameras outside my house last night, You would have seen some amazing stuff, Tim. I was outside, and I told the Jonathan Davies in the audience this earlier. I was outside for literally 2 minutes and had about 7 satellites fly over, including one trailing another. And when the back one got to Cassiopeia, in the constellation Cassiopeia, it disappeared, while the other one kept going.
Interesting.
It was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now, I'm not saying UFOs, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying It was pretty cool to see.
Very cool. And so it sounds like you're a perfect candidate for some tech. I should send you out a camera system that does the watching for you.
There's always weird stuff over Dave's house. I ever tell you the time my mother-in-law came over? This was going back about a year ago. So no, I didn't even know you. I wouldn't have told you this story.
Is this a broomstick story?
No, I actually like my mother-in-law. I do.
Okay, fantastic.
Now, my former mother-in-law, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That thing is just pure evil. Pure evil. I don't even think it's human. That's just me. But my current mother-in-law, about a year ago, she gets up in the middle of the night because she has to go to the bathroom. So in my basement, she was sleeping in the main room, and she walks down the hall, goes into the bathroom, and as she comes back out to the main room downstairs where her bed is, she sees really brightness flashing out the window. She goes up to the window, and she said all she saw was my entire yard going blue, black, blue, black, blue, black, like something above the house was strobing. It was kind of cool. I never saw it. I was asleep. But yeah, come to Dave's house. Lots of weird stuff here. Lots of weird stuff. Let's get to it.
I love it. Yeah.
Galileo Project, headed by Avi Loeb, is making some news because they're going to start looking underwater, not in space, underwater, for some fragments of an interstellar meteor. Now, what does this have to do with UFOs?
That's right, Dave. So, an ocean expedition by the Galileo Project to retrieve fragments of the first large interstellar meteor, which is CNEOS, or CNEOS, which fell to Earth in 2014 on January 8th. So, the earliest confirmed interstellar object, Oumuamua, was discovered in the solar system by Pan-STARRS in 2017. Allowing for calibration of the abundance of interstellar objects of its size. This was followed by the discovery of Borisov, which allowed for similar calibration of its size. One would expect a much higher abundance of significantly smaller interstellar objects, with some of them colliding with Earth frequently enough to be noticeable. Based on CNEOS catalog of bolide events we identified in 2019, the meteor detected 2014, January 8th, was originating from an unbound hyperbolic orbit with 99.999 confidence. So in 2022, the U.S. Department of Defense has since verified that the velocity estimate reported to NASA is sufficiently accurate to indicate an interstellar trajectory, making the object the first detected interstellar object and the first detected interstellar meteor. So the plan is that they're physically going to go and mobilize a ship with a magnetic sled off the coast of Papua New Guinea to collect fragments and then study them.
Okay. This is where I start to get confused. Okay. And it isn't a shot at Galileo Project. But to me, groups like Galileo Project, which came out all about the UFO side of things, need to be focused on UFOs. And maybe it's my primitive, non-scientific mind. You're more nuts and bolts than I am. Okay? But to me, this loses credibility in this group. Not because the project isn't cool. It's very cool. But when you put a team together to go look for UFOs, let's get some damn UFOs going. Let's not waste this money going to look for an ancient meteor. Now, granted, that meteor may have some dust particles or chemicals built into it that may come from a different civilization. I get that. I understand that. But that's not what Galileo is about. Galileo was fronted on UFOs. Avi Loeb put the team together to look for UFOs. And considering that they do not have a finite amount of financing, I find this troublesome, Tim.
Well, I understand your skepticism, and let me kind of just speak on what my understanding would be on this maneuver. So the scientific method basically goes that you take any data that you can collect and start with that. So for example, on my project, I did groundwork to get an idea of what the magnetic readings were in the location that I was looking at before I started looking up in the sky. And so this project is on a larger scale, taking a look at what an interstellar object would look like. And then they can rule it out or include it as something as potential to look at when we see something similar coming back at us again. So it's more along the lines of learning what to rule out or to include before we continue looking up. Does that make sense?
I understand that. And like I said, I appreciate that. I do. All right. But you've already assembled what could be the greatest Hall of Fame team in research for this subject. You've already gained $20 million for research funding on this. I understand the point. I understand the perspective. But if I'm an investor in Galileo, not interested. I gave you money to go look for UFOs.
Mm-hmm. And keep in mind that the original trigger for Galileo Project was Oumuamua. And so what we've done is discovered another Oumuamua here on Earth that we can just grab a piece of and take a look at. So it is part of the mission. So let's keep in mind that this is part of the projected project and part of the agreed allotment for the money being spent. I understand that these little baby steps towards looking into the sky can be frustrating, but I also understand that more funds are being allocated and demonstrated towards telescopes and looking at tech that can search the skies. So this is just one part of the project. And the fact that you're hearing publicly about it is because they're probably putting it into process. I think it's just the first step publicly.
Well, I mean, I understand that. You got to start somewhere. But if the focus is, excuse me, on Oumuamua, which Avi Loeb claimed may have been a spaceship checking us out, then do we not owe it to ourselves to take that money out of looking for a rock in the ocean and start looking at putting our eyes towards space to see if there are other Oumuamua type of rocks coming this way? And I'll get your answer when we return. Tim Senor is here for a highly contested UFO report tonight. I love it. We're going to continue with the Galileo Project, then get into, are the aliens us? We'll find out when we return on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Bad cop, no donut. I just want to respond to you here, man, for a second. What is proof? I want to know the answer to that. And I'm not being sarcastic or trying to pick on you here, but what is proof? You can't have proof when you don't know when it's going to happen. Because it just happens. And the next thing I will say on that, dude, is this. When you have something happen to you that seems impossible or is not supposed to exist, your brain doesn't act properly. Your brain is trying to comprehend what your eyes are seeing, and your brain isn't making sense. And the last thing you honestly think about is, where's my iPhone or where's my smartphone to grab a picture? Or if you're being abducted at night and you don't know it's happening or when it's going to happen, most people don't want a camera in their bedroom. They really don't. So, unfortunately, I don't know what proof is. And it's funny to me, Tim, that in all other walks of life, the amount of evidence we have for UFOs, the amount of evidence we have for abductions or Sasquatch or anything, I'm just saying anecdotal evidence here, would hold up in a court of law. Yet in our community, it's not even close. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I really don't sometimes. And that isn't an insult to those who don't believe or are skeptical. Because I do believe we should all have a skeptical mind on things. All right? But in this field, in the field of woo, we have so much evidence for proof, and yet we don't want to buy into it. We don't want to accept it. Yet you can send somebody to jail on eyewitness testimony, which is anecdotal proof. What's the difference? There is none.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're talking to a proof seeker. I'm somebody that's looking for that. I try to corroborate every experience with multiple pieces of data if I can. But at the same rate, you're never prepared, because every single time it reveals itself in a different way, and that's tough. It's not repeatable. That's really frustrating for somebody that's looking for something and that goes by the scientific method. You're absolutely right.
Well, you just worked 2 weeks in Utah with tens of thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment. You couldn't tell when it was going to happen. You didn't know when it was going to happen. And pointing a camera at the sky and hoping something happens in that vicinity is like a needle in a haystack. You just hope. So just because you have cameras doesn't mean that you're going to catch anything.
Yeah. I think a lot of what we're discovering, and this is really no mystery to people that are experiencers already, is that intention and consciousness are absolutely part of the equation. And so somebody's standing next to you, may not interpret or experience the same light in the sky that you do. They may not even see it. And so we did have onboard skeptics that remained absolutely neutral through the whole thing. I mean, myself included. We all did, really. But some of the stuff was pretty undeniable. Some was labeled. And some of the things weren't. You know, we tried not to put things into a box. I think that can be dangerous.
Okay, hold on right there, because we do got to come back. Thank you, Smithy.
Let's do that.
Cat Chaser with the hat trick. Courtney, Balut, and Steve for the super chats. Here comes the final half hour. And a third. We're headed for home on Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Tim Senor is in for the UFO report, and we are getting into the Galileo project, looking for rocks underwater. And Tim, anecdotal evidence says we may not even find it. We may be wasting a lot of money on boats and equipment looking for a rock when we should be spending time in space.
Sure. But Dave, what if Oumuamua was something other than what we think it is? And what if this rock, quote unquote, at the bottom of the ocean is something else also? And what if we don't need to look up, because what we're looking for is already right here under our nose? I don't think this is a waste of time. I think this is the first step. We need to rule things out before we can know what we're looking for, in my opinion. And so I was excited to see the first step being undergoing. And honestly, I know this isn't really the first step. They are really spreading out at the same time. They're looking up into the skies at the same time. They have quite a pretty big mission statement. But again, I was excited to see this happening. I would love to see some results from Galileo Project.
Me too. I hope they start focusing on space, though. Let's go to topic number 2. And Dr. Michael Masters has talked about this quite a bit. And that is, are the aliens really us, potentially from the future? And you're looking into this. UFOs may have been piloted by time-traveling humans. Have you been listening to Michael Masters here?
Bingo. Absolutely. And a current book of his. And so the great distances covered by visiting aliens may be ones of time rather than space, in a recent book by Michael Masters. So unidentified flying objects, UFOs, captured the public's attention over the decades. As exoplanet detection is on the rise, why not consider that star-hopping visitors from afar might be buzzing through our friendly skies by taking an interstellar off-ramp to Earth? So, on the other hand, could those piloting UFOs be us, our future progeny that have mastered the landscape of time and space? Perhaps those reports of people coming into contact with strange beings represent our distant human descendants, returning from the future to study us in our own evolutionary past. I love this theory, and Michael Masters dives deep. What are your thoughts on this idea of us being them?
I think that it's something that is a good theory, because we can't rule everything out. You know, I want to believe, Tim, that there are time travelers already on this planet. I think it'd be really cool to know that. I really do. And I don't know, though, if that is the answer to everything. I don't know, because I still believe that there are visitors, if we could say that, from elsewhere as well. Okay? And whether that's through different dimensions, inner Earth, way out in space, maybe. But I want to believe time travel. I want to believe that in the future we can go back in time. My problem that I have in understanding that, if I use the Back to the Future theory, if it is us traveling back in time, isn't that going to affect the space-time continuum? You know, like for instance, you step on a butterfly, what are the results of that moving towards the future? Because everything
Right.
has an action, whether it's adverse or positive.
Right. Well, what if we're not supposed to see them or interact with them? What if a lot of that is just part of the technology? Some of it's more advanced, some isn't. You know, some of the time travelers that we're seeing aren't using the technology from their future. You know, it gets really interesting when you get into, you know, the string theory or any of these concepts of how this could all be interwoven. But you know, there are a few theories that I kind of like, and this is definitely one of them. And the idea of us being them has been advanced before, right? And in this recent book, Identified Flying Objects, a multidisciplinary scientific approach to the UFO phenomenon, Matt, by Michael Masters, this book takes a fresh look, right, at this and offers a few interesting options, not just the time traveler. So, Masters is a professor of biological anthropology at Montana Technological University in Butte, and Masters thinks that given the accelerating pace of change in science, technology, and engineering, it is likely that humans of the distant future could develop the knowledge and machinery necessary to return to the past. And so we do have a few things that have happened in film and cinema that have kind of imitated this possibility. And I know one of them, we even discussed earlier, kind of imitates some of the possibilities. And the name of it is slipping my mind right now, but it went along the lines of interdimensional. And it really did kind of imitate some of the possibilities that would come along with this. But Dave, I mean, like you said, I do feel that there's more than one thing happening at the, you know, that we're seeing. And if it is time travelers, I do think that possibilities are there that they could interact and potentially affect the past for them. It's an interesting idea, but also dangerous. Would they be doing beneficial things or malevolent things?
We don't know. I mean, if they are future humans, why are they conducting such severe actions? If they are future humans, there's no reason to kidnap people for hybrid programming. Go into it. You could steal all that stuff by going into a hospital. Sperm, eggs from healthy ovum. Okay. You could steal that. You don't need to anal probe somebody. You don't need to rip apart a woman's private parts to get eggs like some women have gone through this horrific experience. You don't need
Well,
that.
well, what if the future is so destroyed by biological engineering that they're looking for some of that original kind of genetics so that they can get back to square one?
That's why there's sperm and egg banks,
Right.
right? You don't have to do it. All right. Tim, I'll give you an example of something weird here. And this involved you and I in Las Vegas. When we arrived at Caesar's Palace, we were trying to find the elevator to our floor where we were staying.
Yeah.
And this old guy, literally looking about 90 to 100 years old, dressed in old clothing, walked right by Tim and I. Eyes were glossy. Maybe he had a drink or two. Maybe not. And Tim and I both asked the same question at the same time. Did we just encounter a ghost there? A full body apparition?
Yeah. The
Okay.
dude looked like a dead guy. Like just
Yeah, completely
weird.
dead. Like he didn't blink. He didn't do anything. He just walked a straight line.
Yeah.
And when I I
Like,
said,
you're
"Hi,
into
sir."
that, clearly.
I said, "Hi, sir." Didn't even respond.
Yeah, because he was like coming right at us.
Coming right at us. So the point that I'm getting at is this, Tim, is the experience that people are having does not make sense. And I'm not saying Michael Masters is a brilliant, brilliant man. I would have a beer with him and just sit down and at his place in Montana and drink beer and watch the moose walk by his property. I'd love to do that. Okay. But my problem with his theory is this. To me, it doesn't explain, and I'll call Michael up and I'll ask him this. No problem. He's a friend of the show. But his theory doesn't explain some of the horrific surgeries that these alleged alien beings are doing to humans. And if they are future time travelers drilling into people's eyes or leaving marks on their bodies, they should know that everything they need is in a local laboratory, whether it's sperm, female eggs, whether it's blood, Rh negative or more, whether it is anything. They can get whatever they want. And it still doesn't explain the missing 65,000 people a year that just vanish without a trace. So to me, if I look at it from a woo side, there's some holes in that. There's some big time holes.
Right. Maybe it's not the future people necessarily doing that kind of experimentation and abduction, because there are experiences where there are human-like encounters, and I would assume potentially those are the time travelers. Maybe the Greys are from far into the future, and that's why they're looking so aggressively for the original DNA, whereas the more human-like people are more gentler, from the stories I've heard. And this is purely my hypothesis, but I think the greatest takeaway from Michael Masters' current work was the dubbing of these purported visitors as extratempestrials. And I'll just say that again, extratempestrials.
Love it.
What a great term.
That's Michael right there. All right, let's move on to the third story for tonight. There's a really cool UFO sighting apparently in Utah, July 27th, that zips past a golfer at the Bear Lake Golf and Country Club.
Yeah, that's right. And so I can basically give your listeners a pretty good description. The golfer was filming himself with his swing to try and give himself some instruction. And in reviewing, he noticed in about 1 minute in that a very dark football-shaped object zipped across the screen right around his nose area, right along the horizon. And some skeptics have taken a look already and ruled out things that are mundane, including insects and things like that. And so it's still a very interesting sighting. And so once again, Utah is back in the news with UFOs in the skies. Dave, this is a pretty cool sighting, and it's just coming from a golfer. So everyone's starting to upload their images and their sightings. I think this is great.
Well, you know what? I think it's kind of funny because Lord knows when I used to golf, one of the greatest things I ever did in life, Tim, was I quit playing golf. Okay.
Of course.
One of the greatest days of my life was when I quit playing golf. You know, my stress level went from here down to here immediately.
It's supposed to do the opposite, isn't it?
Oh,
Relieve
no.
stress. It increased your stress playing
Yeah,
golf.
that's what
Only
they say.
Dave. Only
Yeah.
Dave. It increased his blood pressure playing golf.
Oh,
And can I throw a double sighting out there, because this came up
Yeah.
on my Twitter feed, that Jeremy Corbell's U.S. Marines witnessed and fired at a jellyfish-shaped object in the Middle East. And this was actually back in 2020, February 16th in Brazil, that this actually took place. But this bizarre jellyfish-looking UAP was actually fired on by the military. I can hold up a photograph for your viewers, but is basically just a very clear jellyfish-looking object that the military decided to start firing upon. Have you heard about this case?
No, I haven't. This is interesting.
Indeed. Indeed. And so it's something to follow up on, because we need to just go ahead and take a look on this. This reported out of Brazil. Jeremy Corbell put this up recently also, that this information is totally public. Anyone can take a look at it. And the object is definitely not something mundane. It doesn't look like a weather balloon. The long streamers hanging off of it are not something that I've ever seen before. It literally looks like a jellyfish-shaped UFO, and it was obviously threatening enough for the military to fire on.
My goodness. My goodness. That is actually kind of creepy. That is very, very creepy. And I don't know what to even say about that. I really don't.
I'm surprised that this one was not on your radar, to be completely honest. I just do all my reporting from this little closet under the stairs here, and you've got that big studio. And how did I scoop you on this one, buddy?
Well, you know, sometimes Dave gets a little bit busy. And, you know, I've been busy behind the scenes lately. You know, it's been tiresome. Not going to lie. It's been absolutely tiresome. But that's okay. That's okay. We will get it through as we normally do. We'll get it on through. All right, buddy. Anything else we got for tonight?
I mean, that's pretty much my report for you, bud. I was just kind of excited to see another sighting in Utah. I mean, that's like 3 in this month, I think. So that state is coming back on the radar for UFO. Could it be our team? I don't know. Fingers crossed. We're going to be back out there in a month.
Well, you should be. You should be, you know, because that's kind of the way you do it around there. And I got to try and get down there.
Come out to Phenomicon, buddy. Come out to Phenomicon. Hang out with Travis Taylor and the whole crew over at Skinwalker or over at Blind Frog Ranch or just anywhere in the Uinta Basin. Come out and see dinosaurs or all the glyphs. There's so many petroglyphs out there. It's just gorgeous.
I don't know if Travis Taylor could handle my beautiful hair.
I think he could handle you, buddy. I feel like you just...
Time is it?
Timmy, we're going to get to Shirky Poo's news.
Shirky Poo's news.
Here's one that's interesting to anybody who has a YouTube channel. Check this out, Tim. You know, one of the most popular YouTube channels over the last couple of years has been Dr. Pimple Popper. Now, Dr. Sandra Lee is a dermatologist that's become an internet sensation, deals with all sorts of skin issues from, you know, sebaceous cysts to blackheads and everything else. Well, get this. Despite gaining millions of fans, Dr. Lee says her YouTube channel has been demonetized because her content is considered too graphic. And she even had to put some content behind a members only wall. Speaking to Insider, Dr. Pimple Popper said that between 2014 and 16, she was making $100,000 a month on her YouTube videos. But she was contacted by the platform and told that would be coming to an end. A chart seen by the publication reportedly shows that Dr. Lee's revenue took a nosedive after 16. However, she claims that her videos were not simply to shock people, they were supposed to be educational. She goes, I'm really proud of the fact that kids know what a lymphoma is now, and or will they ever get the chance to squeeze a cyst? Yeah, you remove the sac entirely to get it removed. We're teaching people about psoriasis and hidradenitis. Pardon me if I got that wrong. But if you're not motivated to get that content out, how are people willing to learn? Dr. Lee believes that YouTube and others don't like it when pages get too big. She said the social media platforms grow big because of all these new posters, but then they wait until they get big enough that they could sort of clamp down on it and make restrictions. I don't know if I agree with that. That isn't good. Really isn't good. For anybody. It really isn't. And come on, who doesn't like a good zit-popping video? You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Okay? Just putting it out. Losing your keys is an easy mistake to make, but imagine misplacing a 200-person aircraft. Yeah, there's this bizarre mystery of an abandoned Boeing 737, which remains planted in the middle of a field in Bali, and to this day, no one knows how it got there. Situated in a limestone quarry near Raya Nusa Dua Selatan Highway, it is only a short journey from the popular Pandawa beach. As is often the case with bizarre and unexplained, plenty of theories have circulated how the plane got there. The most popular is that from the locals is that Boeing was originally installed there by a wealthy businessman. Legend has it that he wanted to turn it into a restaurant but ran out of funds before he could finish. Well, the defunct aircraft has piqued interest of plenty of urban explorers and is this year's hoping to experience something a little bit different on their travels. We'll have to see it from a viewpoint because they're starting to disassemble the aircraft to get it out of there. Thank you so much to everybody tuning in tonight and our guest, Jonathan Davies. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. All right, we're clear. Woo-hoo.
Fun
Sebaceous.
stuff.
I can't
Yeah.
believe that YouTube would deplatform her like that.
Yeah. That's gross. You started off with goo and you finished with goo. Kind of came full circle. It's
Oh,
great.
who doesn't like sebaceous cysts?
It's not.
We all love gross stuff. Okay, we do. Hi, Coral. How are you? We all love something gross. Okay, whether
Okay.
it's zits being popped, or ugly toenails, or old people falling.
Agree to
Okay.
disagree.
I disagree with you.
Yes, you do.
Everybody has a fetish of something weird.
Okay, that's all you, bud. Fetish now?
No, it's not all me.
You
It's not all
upgraded
me.
goo to fetish. Okay, no, yeah. Cool. My fetish is data.
It's
I've
not
got
all.
a data fetish.
Okay, so you get off a little bit by numbers.
There
Okay,
you go.
and non-woo.
True, man. I like my feet solidly on the ground if possible.
You're
My
funny.
brain hurts. Hey, man, I have a would you rather for you. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So, would you rather go on a 2-week alien ship adventure or a 2-week multi-dimensional Bigfoot camping trip?
Give me 1 second here, bud.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to think about that one, I'm sure.
I'm just having a little bit of a technical.
Of course you are.
I just need to see a date here.
Cool, man.
No, that is mine. Never mind.
Your audience can jump in on that, too, if they like.
Okay, what was the question again?
Would you rather go on a 2-week alien ship adventure or a 2-week multi-dimensional Bigfoot camping trip?
Oh my.
I know. It's tough. Friendly Bigfoot. Multi-dimensional trip. Or aliens, interstellar, take you to their world. You could fly their ship.
Aliens.
You want to fly.
I want to fly.
Yeah.
I want to fly.
Yeah.
I want to fly the
I get
ship.
it. It's a good choice.
I do.
It's a good choice.
I don't think there's a wrong choice there.
Right. Yeah. No, there wouldn't be. They're probably connected.
Jenny
You'd
girls
probably
like aliens all the way.
Yeah. Ooh, a lot of campers. A lot of campers. That's cool. I like that. Jenny White Bear's all about the camping trip. Joan Monk's going Bigfoot camping. Haley's taking the UFO adventure. Love that. Jenny Girl, aliens all the way. Yeah. Haley, aliens would probe your butt. Come on. There you go. See? It's a fetish. She thinks that's a fetish for you.
Haley's a good guy.
Haley gets it. Sorry, did I say she? I meant he. My bad.
Man. I
think it'd be fun either way. There's no wrong answer there. You're absolutely right.
There's no wrong answer.
We had covered this briefly the other night. I do have a quick question for you.
Sure.
You had Adrian Reister on your show at one point, did you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Thomas Fessler was kind enough to get us in touch with him.
Yep, he's a great guy. And so I had a question kind of linked to his shadow person experience, and I briefly asked you about this before. So Jack Osborne was up at Skinwalker Ranch a couple weeks before we were in Utah, and he's got a show coming out recently where he has a preview where he claims to have filmed a Skinwalker, potentially like a shadow. It really looked more like a shadow in his words, but I think they called it a Skinwalker because of the location that they were at.
Mm-hmm.
But my question to you kind of is, and based on Adrian's experience as well, do you think that the shadow person is somehow linked to aliens? Is it like a disembodied human? Is it an entity on its own? Is it alien? Like, what's your opinion on that? And based on kind of like what Adrian's experience was and that particular kind of shadow person.
You are filled with tough questions today.
Ooh, sorry. Well, I'm just like I'm on it, and I actually had captured something I think that maybe sort of like it, but I don't want to.
I think shadow people are both good and bad. Okay. I think they are there to bring a perception of something. Like they're a harbinger for something. I don't know what. I don't think they're a harbinger of death, like Megatron. Okay. Hey, it's little Davey Altman in the chat room.
There he
Little
is.
Davey Altman has showed up.
I'm gonna go visit that guy. We're gonna go party with Corey Feldman. Hey, okay, so would you consider it potentially an avatar for something else?
Could be. Could be.
Okay. Not getting a lot of solid answers out of you, but I'm enjoying the topic.
It could be. I don't know. Shadow
Thinking is
people
good
are.
radio.
Well, put it this way. My opinion has changed a little bit because when I've seen a shadow person, a couple shadow people, okay? And I remember the first one I saw was around 2005. And I remember listening to Art Bell talk about it like 4 weeks before I had this experience. And I was living in a basement suite, Tim, where I had to, when I pulled up to my basement suite, I had to open up the back fence, walk along the side of the house, and then walk to the back of the house where my door was underneath their porch or underneath their their deck. And so when I pulled up to the house and got to the gate, I could tell that my sensor light on my door was on. So I had to do some thinking here. Okay, my thinking is there, and where I used to live, there were still bears and cougars and other animals there, but they weren't as prevalent in like you didn't worry about it like I worry about it here. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't as frequent, but the sensor light was on. So when I came to the end of the house, I kind of went wide to look at my door to see, because it could have been a raccoon, it could have been a mouse, or a cougar, or a bear, or somebody's cat, whatever it may be. And I got to the end, and I turned towards my door, and there was a shadow person standing there at my door. And this thing, dude, was so cartoonish. Okay. It was like drawn by a grade oneer. Okay. Like it had the round head that a kid would draw, the block shoulders, the block shoulder clothing that a kid would draw, but there was no hands. It had the block pants that a kid would draw. There was no feet or shoes. And it turned and it looked at me, and then it did a 180 and ran through the wall that was on the side of the house. And I stood there, and the only thing I could say was, That is fucking unbelievable. What it was, no idea, Tim. To this day, I have no idea. Okay. I could still see it today in my head, but I have no clue what it was. And then I got a picture of a shadow person during my ghost tour. It's on my phone where we asked the shadow person or the ghost that was around us to turn one of the K2 meters to complete red. And we actually have the photo of the cowboy shadow person touching the K2. I'll see if I could pull it up here.
Can I make a very quick comment and on topic question?
Yeah.
Cool. So my comment is that Dave Altman is absolutely hilarious. Thank you for being in chat and keeping things real. My question is, was that shadow person like darker than the surroundings so you were able to notice it? And did it running away and through the wall make you feel that it was aware of you?
Oh, it knew I was there. It turned and looked at me.
Okay.
It turned and looked at me. There was no face on it.
No eyes?
It would be like this. It would be like me in my swivel chair going, okay, so here I'm staring at the door. Here I look over at Dave. Here I take off.
Okay. No face, no eyes, just a very blocky, dark. So it was blacker than the surroundings.
Paper.
Okay.
Hold on. See what I can do. It
Very
kind of
interesting.
looked, okay. Like I said, it looked just like a kid would draw it. Okay.
Like blocky. Roblox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. And did you feel threatened at all when you saw this, or no? Neutral.
No.
And again, you saw no eyes or facial feature.
Oh, that's all it was. Right there.
How tall was that? What was the height?
6 feet.
About 6. Cool.
That's it. That's all it was right there.
And this was at night, obviously. Was it indoors?
Yeah. No, outdoors.
Okay, outdoors, but it did go through a wall.
Yeah.
Interesting. And did you associate it with what is your gut reaction? What do you associate it with? Something otherworldly or of this world, or what's your gut reaction on that experience?
Give me 2 seconds because I'm gonna try and.
Sorry, chat. This will be my last question on this.
Where can I send it?
I'm just curious.
Send it to Terry. And then I'll send it. I'll bring it up here.
Cool.
Man, we're gonna take forever on my Wi-Fi.
What's up with your nose, man? Is that what's giving you a hassle?
Yeah, can't breathe out of my. I can't breathe out of the left side of my nostril.
You still like hockey?
Oh, in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Or in a nose breath? In a whistling nose breath. We can hear you coming. Bigfoot would hear you coming in the woods a mile away.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes Dave up the path. What are you looking for, bud?
I've got a photograph here that I'm trying to send, and it's just being a pain in the butt right now because I want to bring it.
I've seen the top of your head so much. It's just top of Dave's head, everyone. Welcome.
There. Finally got it done.
What a hairline. What a hairline.
It is a fantastic hairline. Don't you be making fun of that.
I'm
I
not.
swear.
That was truth.
Okay, what other question?
Masculine.
Last
Love it.
question, you weirdo.
Sorry. So I think you answered them. I think you've done well, sir. We can change topics, but you have a photo for your crew, so that'd be cool.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys this. Okay, this is the shadow person that we called the cowboy in the barn, and I don't think anybody's really ever seen this one. Let me make it large here. You can see the shadow person here. There's the arm coming down, and there he's touching a K2 meter, lighting it up fully.
Wow.
You'd see that?
Yeah, that's a tough capture to get. How did you get this photo?
One of our tour people on our tour caught it.
With what kind of device, if you mind me
Cell
asking?
phone.
Oh, cell phone. Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Body
Yeah, that's a
pack.
great.
Yeah, isn't that a great photo?
It really is. That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that, bud.
Yeah.
That's whoa.
You could actually, if you look here and here, it's really tough to see, but you can actually see the cowboy hat.
Yeah, you can definitely make that out. That's fantastic. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Cool.
Yeah, this is a person here. This is a person here.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, I remember this guy because he was wearing a Guns N' Roses t-shirt.
Of course, you would remember that. Your
Yeah.
favorite band.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cool picture. That's a cool picture.
Hey,
Yeah.
bud, I have a new app on my phone that sends me weather updates and advice. Like tomorrow's going to be a sick day. Isn't that great? It's just like calling sick tomorrow. Just don't even bother.
No, I got to go in tomorrow. I'm going in. I'm going in.
Well, I'll be sitting right here editing more of that. Which is actually what I'm going to do right after I get off with you.
Oh, nice. Well,
yeah. Once my kids are asleep, it's work time.
I know what that's like.
Or Dave time in this case.
Joe, that's a person way in the back. It's not a ghost. That's a person down the hallway. So
what do you think, sir? Shall I sign off for the night and see you Wednesday?
You can do whatever you want. We can see you Wednesday.
Oh, wait. Yeah. It's going to be like that.
What?
It is, yes, indeed. I will sign off for now and see you on Wednesday, the 10th. Is that right, sir? I hope so.
Yeah, I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Give me a ring, buddy. See you later, crew. Thanks for listening. It's been fun.
Give you a ring-a-ling.
Do that.
Give you a little ring-a-ling.
Ciao, Bella.
You handsome guy, you.
Stay
All right,
fun,
buddy.
Dave.
We'll
Bye.
see you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.
And then it was just me, everybody. Then it was just me. Little Davey Altman. How you doing, buddy? Little Davey Altman on the West Coast. Are you on the West Coast now? You in LA? Uh-huh. Good night, World Bigfoot Radio. Hey, everybody who listens here who loves Duke, let's go support him. He's Jimmy Church's guest on Fade to Black tomorrow before Spaced Out Radio. Let's go give him a clap and a shout out tomorrow in Jimmy's chat room. Then we'll all come back here and party. Who's my guest tomorrow? Jim Goodall talking spy planes and UFOs tomorrow. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Jim Goodall tomorrow night. I'll be right back. You guys have fun. Hello, people. I am back. All right. Let's go here. That's all good there. Here, 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 and here. Move that over. Let's go here. Transfer. Come on. There we go. All right. Let's see what's happening in Africa, shall we? Let's see if we can get some animals going here. Let's see here. Nothing happening at Tembe. Nothing happening at that watering hole. The Hakoi. Okauku Joe Resort. Nothing happening there. Let's see, where else can we go? Let's go back to live. Let's see here. Let's go to Namibia. Oh, we got a couple of oryx there. I like the oryx. The birds are at the watering hole. But there's the oryx. These things are awesome. They've quickly become one of my favorites. They really have. Well, there's more of them now. Their horns are amazing. I have no idea how tall an oryx is at the shoulder. How? I'll Google it. How tall are oryx? They're 48 to 50 inches at shoulder height. 12 inches and a foot. So just over 4 feet in height. Boy, they're going to have to put more water in there. Those oryx are like, hey, where's all the water? Where the hell's all the water, man? We came here because there's water. Where the hell did all the water go? Should actually put my picture up there. Research purposes only. Fair use. All right, give me 2 seconds here, guys. I'm just going to grab these files here. There you go. Well, the ugly wildebeest are coming in. Orcs are like, I want nothing to do with that. You're too ugly. Hi, D. Swagger. How are you? When did you get here? This watering hole underneath this rock, they can add more water to it. There's a well way deep in there that they've drilled to. So, if we come back here tomorrow night, there's probably going to be more water in here. They'll probably wait till nighttime to fill it up. Like, look at all the orcs there. They're like, come on, wildebeest, just go get your drink and get the hell out of here. And the wildebeest, those birds are taking up all the water. I can't go in there. Drink, and pesky birds are all over the place. What if they swarm me and attack me? Just get in there. All right, let's see if we can find something else here. All right. Where are we going here? We're at Namibia now. Let's go here and then live. And let's see what else. Let's go to Tau. See what's happening at Tau. Nothing. We got to see what's happening at Rosie's Pan. Rosie's Pan. That's my favorite. Let's go here. Rosie's Pan. All right, let's go to Rosie's Pan. See if there's anything happening here. Nope, nothing. Nothing. By the sense of all these droppings here, you can see Raul has been in this area. Nothing. Just Raul's droppings. See what else. Let's go back to Tembe. Oh, there's an elephant. Look at that. There we go. There we go. Now we got some stuff in there. The heck is that in between? What is that? Come on, zoom in. All the antelope are going to be like, we're out of here. Big elephant. Although, what is all that game over there? That almost looks like a lion. There's something coming in over here too. Not sure what that is. It's big though. Don't know if that's another elephant or looks like a rhinoceros, to be honest. That'd be really cool because I've never seen a rhinoceros in here. Boy, that male is sure bigger, way bigger than the females. Come on, zoom in on the elephant. That elephant looks like it's having a good time. Just dipping its trunk in the water. Taking a little swig. Oh, just beautiful. Love the elephants. Big dude. All right, tomorrow night on the show, Jim Goodall is going to join us. Secrets Craft and UFOs. Tomorrow, we'll get into some good stuff there. Tomorrow night, Jim is always awesome and entertaining. I want to say a big thank you to Cat Chaser for a hat trick of super chats, along with Smithy, Courtney, Baloo, and Steve. Very much appreciate it. Really appreciate each and every one of you giving us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways tonight. And we'll see you all tomorrow night, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we're out.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.